All right, you and I are watching pure madness. He answers a random call, and the whole world completely shakes. Global leaders scramble for emergency. Midnight meetings, elite ops teams drop their drills, pivoting into full combat readiness. Someone is definitely going down. Heavily armed tank armies lock down the entire city. Why? Just because of one terrifying little phone call. See, he is the genius mastermind running the top secret space elevator project for the Vidian Republic, and then his daughter calls for help. Her tiny voice echoes through heavy tears. Daddy, save me, they are bullying me. I miss you. Hearing that, the phone slips right out of his hand, shattering against the floor. In a split second, he completely freezes. His breathing turns heavy. Totally ragged, memories flood his mind, sending his thoughts into a wild tale. Spin, is it really her? 6 years ago in Valoria City, he actually had a short, fleeting romance with a woman named Allara Sterling. At first, they lived so happily together, but when Western terror factions realized he was going to lead the space project, they dispatched brutal agents to assassinate him. To protect her, he takes a bullet and plunges into the ocean. When he finally wakes, 3 months have totally passed. He never contacts her again. He even deletes every single trace of his identity. He was absolutely terrified that his enemies would target his beloved, classic hero complex. You and I both know he assumed that after only 1 week together, she would have moved on, but he never ever expected that Sterling was pregnant. Despite thinking he was dead, she kept the baby, raising their child all alone through brutal hardships. She even kept his memento in her home, often staring at it while crying in pure silence. Realizing this, his heart fiercely aches. His entire body goes totally stiff like his soul just vanished. Suddenly, he trembles and violently spits out a mouthful of fresh blood. Because trauma always loves dramatic timing, a nearby scientist panics and rushes over. Commander, what is wrong with you? He yells to prepare the fastest jet. He has to return immediately. He must save his family. The guilt is simply crushing. For years, he dedicated his entire life and soul to the country, yet his own wife and child were never protected. He feels he deserves death. His voice is totally hoarse, echoing like it came straight out of hell. Ripping off his white lab coat, he dashes right out of the secret base. Meanwhile, over at the Vidian Science Alliance, Director Ares Mercer is stunned, quickly ordering emergency comms to the higher-ups to report the chaos. How the hell are those guards doing their jobs? Commander Vance has family, and nobody even reported this. Inside the underground base, over 20 top-tier scientists erupt in absolute furious rage. Vance sacrificed in silence out in this wasteland for the Vidian Republic, yet his own wife and kid have their lives brutally threatened. Who actually dares to do this? We are about to find out. Minutes later at the military office. Inside the restricted zone, an angry officer roars through the comms. All units assemble now. The entire 100-kilometer restricted zone instantly locks down. Tens of thousands of soldiers stand up, roaring in unison. Commander Vance's wife and child are being threatened, even beaten. Can they tolerate this? No, absolutely not. The minister gave the final order. They must act. Tens of thousands of soldiers scream, totally ready to storm Valoria City. All aircraft currently on watch this. Every single flight got canceled. A whole squadron of supersonic fighter jets deployed just to escort Kayn home at max speed, plus 6 other elite fighters trailing behind him, and dozens of heavy assault choppers just to protect our main guy and his bloodline. Meanwhile, over in a trashed house in the slums of Valoria City, Allara Sterling is lying totally helpless on the floor, her beautiful face battered, the corners of her eyes absolutely soaked. Tears right above her. Over a dozen heavily armed thugs form a circle. Scarred Goon sneers at her. You cheap trash, don't be ungrateful. Know who young Master Thorne is. Having him notice you is a massive blessing. Normal people literally beg for, yet you dare reject him. Allara smiles faintly, eyes completely stubborn. Kayn Vance, I finally found you. From the exact moment we met, it Was only ever you. My own family threw me out onto the street for having a child out of wedlock, but I never regretted it. She recalls how Darius Thorne got rejected, then used total garbage tactics to lock her into insane mafia debt just to break her, but she'd rather die than let him win. Maybe in death I'll finally get to see you, she whispers, slipping into full Shakespeare mode. She stares blankly right at Kayn's old photograph on the wall, almost like she sees him walking toward her smiling. The scarred goon suddenly barks, "Hey, I'm asking you a simple question. Answer me." He drops a vicious slap, sending her flying. "Your brat is in our hands, if you want her breathing. You better listen to Master Thorne. Honestly, for pure garbage like you, he'll just play around until he gets totally bored, then toss you. Oh, and that 6 million. Debt, you owe that too. Shameless, I never actually borrowed a single penny." Allara screams back. The scarred thug just smirks. The young master said time is money. He chased you for a whole year. 6 million is letting you off easy. The Sterling family is loaded. What's 6 million to them, right? Right. At this exact moment, huddled in the dark corner of the room, a tied-up little girl screams out, "Mommy, don't be scared. I already called Daddy. Daddy is gonna come save us right now." Allara freezes, her dead eyes sparking up for a second before going dark. "Silly Pip. Kayn Vance, your poor daddy, died 6 years ago." But Pip keeps crying, "Mommy, you lied to me. Daddy isn't dead. He's still alive." His voice was so incredibly warm. "He said he's coming right now and told us not to panic." Hearing this, the thug laughs like a total maniac. Even if the Emperor of Heaven himself dropped into Valoria, he couldn't do squat to us. What the Thorne family wants, they get. He violently grabs her hair, dragging her away. "No. Please don't take my mommy away. Don't take her." Seeing her mom getting dragged, Pip wails absolutely miserably from her corner. "Mommy, don't be scared. Daddy will come save us. He'll definitely come." Huge tears stream down the little girl's face, her eyes showing a crushing mix of pure hope and absolute despair. "Will Daddy really come?" Let's switch gears. At the Valoria Security Bureau, Chief Inspector Jarek is buried in boring paperwork when the phone on his desk blares. Seeing the caller ID, he jumps up and answers with massive respect. "Greetings, Minister. Do you have new orders?" From the other end, an incredibly furious voice just blasts, "Jarek, you've triggered a massive disaster." Jarek stands there totally dumbfounded. He was always hyper-cautious and dedicated. How could he cause a disaster? "Minister, what's..." "Let's see what went wrong." Over in the Rusty Nail district of Valoria, there is a woman named Allara Sterling renting a house. Just recently, a shady group broke into her home, brutally beating both her and her child. This incident alarmed a massive VIP backing her up. Hearing about this brutal home invasion, an assault, Chief Jarek completely froze, his head spinning. Strictly speaking, this wasn't a massive deal, but to alarm the higher-ups, this woman absolutely had one insane background. What kind of godly power was backing her up? He wondered in panic. The minister's stern voice cut through. "Jarek, I order you to drop everything else. Focus entirely on investigating and handling this exact case. Mobilize every armed force in Valoria, fully equipped with actual live ammunition. When facing these suspects, you do not need permission. Shoot them all dead. On the spot, at all costs, ensure the safety of Allara Sterling and her daughter. Fail to handle this properly, and you can kiss your chief inspector. See, goodbye entirely." The phone clicked off. Jarek's face turned completely grave. Just what sort of background did this woman have to make the minister issue such a ruthless order? He was practically panicking. "What are you just standing there for? Dispatch our officers immediately." He roared at his nearby subordinate, but the subordinate completely froze. Instead, he lowered his voice. "Chief, right now, we had better stay put and do absolutely nothing." Jarek boiled over. "Stay put? Are you trying to get me killed? This is a direct order from above." Subordinate calmly explained. "Allara Sterling is actually a member of the Sterling family, the main bloodline backing the massive Sterling automotive group itself. Hearing this, Jarek partially understood but remained highly confused. But why should we hold back? The subordinate continued. Unfortunately, 6 years ago, Allara was expelled by the Sterling family over a scandal involving a child born out of wedlock, and the real mastermind behind this current incident is the Thorne family. News of young Master Thorne chasing Allara for an entire year has spread all over Valoria. Seems he finally lost his patience. Now, even though the Sterling family is strong compared to the Thorne family, they are absolutely nothing, and we definitely cannot afford to offend the Thorne family. Jarek breathed a heavy sigh of relief, silently thanking his sharp subordinate for the crucial heads-up. If he just blindly acted now, wouldn't that mean directly clashing with the Thorne family? The Thorne family in Valoria was a colossal monster with roots buried deeply into both local business and politics. They were essentially the reigning local emperors. How could a mere chief inspector like him ever dare touch them? Oh, Minister, you really handed me an impossible math problem here. Jarek sighed heavily at his desk, feeling utterly helpless, but he could not completely ignore it either, because the Sterling family was not exactly a total pushover. After pondering it for a minute, he slowly said, "All right, send 2 officers into the Rusty Nail district to investigate. Tell them to be careful and not make a mountain out of a molehill." "Yes, Chief." The clever subordinate left. Immediately, Jarek exhaled hard, feeling incredibly lucky he had handled things so tactfully. But get this, he had zero idea the true power backing Allara wasn't the Sterling family at all. It was an entire nation. At the exact same time, inside Minister's office in the capital city of Zenith, Minister Trenton Hayes reacted violently. Boom, a book slams down, pure rage. You and I know the Vidian Republic prides itself as one of the absolute safest nations on the planet, possessing the strongest law enforcement power around. Yet, the family of an elite scientist who grinds day and night is suddenly facing death threats. What an absolute joke. How do you guys even operate? Is the Valoria security chief just sitting around doing nothing? He cannot even manage a tiny place like Valoria. Deputy Minister Sinclair stood right there, frantically saying, "I already called Commissioner Lyle," stressing just how severe things are. "No matter what, before Commander Vance returns, we must fix this smoothly. Just calling the security chief is not enough." Minister Trenton shook his head and barked, "Get my jet ready. I am heading to Valoria myself." Over in the Kalin Provincial Police Office, Commissioner Lyle was clutching his head, pacing around in total panic mode. He had just gotten a phone call from a capital deputy minister, his very first one since taking the job. Obviously, something huge had gone down. Suddenly, his desk phone started ringing. Again, the second he grabbed it, a heavy voice boomed out, "Commissioner Lyle, this is Trenton Hayes." Lyle froze, feeling absolute icy terror shoot down his spine. Minister Trenton, the absolute top boss of Vidian Security Forces, was calling him directly. Minister Trenton spoke cold, hard facts. "Skip the small talk about the Valoria mess. I need you to handle this yourself." Lyle stuttered, but before he could even reply, Trenton roared, "It seems you had no plans to handle this yourself. Do you treat my words like a joke?" No, Minister, I already warned the Valoria Security Bureau about this exact critical crisis." Lyle frantically tried to justify himself. Trenton could not hide his pure fury. "Lyle, if Sterling and her kid are not completely safe, you are done. Honestly, this time it is not just our security forces rushing into Valoria. The entire military region is moving too. A massive fleet of heavy tanks and armored vehicles are already rolling out. I am jumping on a chopper to fly out right this second. Figure it out yourself." Right then, a flurry of frantic knocks slammed the door. Lyle opened up, and a terrified subordinate yelled, "Commissioner, huge trouble. The Kalin military sector just declared a full fleet of tanks and armored transports is pushing toward Valoria. They want us clearing every single road, plus an entire squadron of fighter jets is touching down at Kalin Airport. They demand we mobilize every single police unit to protect the incoming VIP. You and I know, hearing this, Commissioner Lyle practically blacked out from the shock. He desperately grabbed his phone to call back, but only hit a dead busy signal after failing twice. His absolute panic peaked and he screamed, "Everyone move out, except for a handful on duty. The rest of you follow me to Kalin right now, at this exact second." The eyes of the whole entire nation were basically locked onto the tiny province of Kalin. Meanwhile, at the Valoria Security Bureau, the absolute eye of the storm, Chief Inspector Jarek just sat in his office, casually chatting on the phone with someone from the powerful Thorne family, even though this guy was just the Thorne family butler in Kalin. We know the Thorne family had set deep roots for decades. Even a butler held massive power. Butler Chadwick, here is the situation. Is it possible to get a quick word with young Master Thorne? Tell him to back off for a bit. If the bosses call me again, I will be in a really huge mess. A freezing laugh echoed back at him, a tight spot. How about I just tell the patriarch to swap in a brand new chief inspector? For Valoria, Jarek forced a nervous laugh. Come on, Chadwick, you know I did not mean it like that. It is just those higher-ups. The butler cut him off cold. Do not mention those bosses to me. Here in Kalin, the Thorne family bows to absolutely nobody. Even the city top official has to bend the knee when greeting our patriarch, maybe realizing he sounded too harsh. The butler calmed down. Look, with the young master's attitude, if he wants a girl, she is his, daring to refuse. If that laked, would not the whole Thorne family look like absolute fools? But wait, I heard young Master Thorne nearly killed a guy, and the higher-ups warned that this mess triggered Allara Sterling's powerful backers. Jarek was getting nervous. So what if a few people die? We just pay them off. 10 million, 100 million. The Thorne family has cash to burn, and backers. Are you kidding me right now? In Aqualan, nobody dares challenge the Thorne family's might, unless she manages to summon the absolute top elites of the city. Maybe then we would show some respect, but come on, is that even possible? Jarek thought it over and had to agree. He sighed, you are right, but let us avoid dead bodies while the bosses are watching. The butler laughed. Consider her lucky the higher-ups noticed. I will tell the young master to let her live, but that bastard child of Aura's has to completely vanish from Kalin. Our Thorne family can be generous and spare her life, but her limbs will be snapped before we throw her into an orphanage. Jarek gave a bitter smile, keeping his mouth shut. He sighed heavy, shaking his head in total defeat. He knew perfectly well that with the Thorne family's brutal reputation, this was already a massive compromise. I just feel bad for that kid. I really tried my best, he whispered, helpless to change a single thing. Now you and I are heading to the North Valoria Airport. 6 supersonic fighter jets, 3 forming up on each side, guarded a massive central jet. That middle plane cut through the clouds like a blade, flying straight for the eastern runway at Kalin Airport. Watching this sheer madness unfold, the local airport boss felt his blood freeze solid. Holy smokes, what is happening here? Why did an entire squad of military jets just drop out of the sky? Panic setting in. He snatched his radio and screamed, listen up everyone, clear runway 2 right now. He yelled to the whole terminal, all departing and incoming flights are grounded. Everything freezes. Top priority belongs to those fighter jets. Heart pounding, he dashed right out of his office and sprinted downstairs. Stepping right outside the terminal, he watched heavily armored military trucks packed with hundreds of troops slam the brakes at the gate. A commanding officer yelled, everyone fall in line and prepare to welcome the Supreme Commander. The airport manager, shaking like a leaf, ran over stuttering, Captain Dallas, what is going on today? Is a major commander actually landing here? Why was I clueless? So we can prep, Dallas shot back. Listen up, you are exactly on time. Get a fully fueled chopper ready now. The commander has an absolute emergency. Got it, I will arrange it. But Captain, give me a Hint, who is this commander anyway? Honestly, I have absolutely no clue, Captain. Dallas dropped his voice. You and I know this means the entire Aqualan military region is completely mobilized, all for him. It involves his family. The local police force totally failed to step up, so the military region boss gave the order. If the cops will not act, we absolutely will. The manager's eyes practically bulged out. Wait, who in Valoria dares to offend a guy like this, pushing it to the point where the region boss personally deployed an actual army because the local cops were useless? Is the sky falling over Valoria? Boom, the deafening roar of fighter jet engines violently shook the entire airport upon landing. The cabin door swung open. Our main guy stepped out. This young man is the commander. Dallas thought in utter shock, quickly snapping into a sharp salute. Every single soldier threw up a perfectly crisp salute. He had zero mood for small talk and roared, "Get the transport ready. I am going to the Rusty Nail District right now." His totally ice-cold glare made Dallas shudder. He scrambled to lead the way. "Commander, the chopper is ready. We can leave at any second. Just follow me." Right then, the heavy soldiers and pilots from the escort jets finished forming up. They clicked their weapons hot, built a tight protective ring around him, and swiftly shadowed Dallas. The airport manager stared at this madness in complete disbelief. Soldiers guarding the commander made sense, but why were actual pilots tagging along? Do they not need those jets anymore? He practically yelled out, "Hey, are you all seriously leaving these fighter jets out here? Nobody is left to fly them." One soldier paused, turned around and calmly explained, "The planes do not matter. Dumping them is fine. The main army is not here yet. We are the vanguard protecting our commander. Supersonic jets are fast but carry barely anyone. The rest of the Frostmark army arrives later." Hearing this, the manager deeply inhaled. Sharp air, a massive main army is coming. He quietly followed, watching him board the chopper. "Stick with me, things are escalating. Pilots are national treasures." Yet here they stood, ready to ditch billion-dollar machines just to act as his bodyguards. It was pure madness. Suddenly, he remembered something and screamed right into his radio, "Lock down runway B2. Immediately." These are highly classified jets. No taking pictures whatsoever. Set up a 24/7 guard detail. Nobody approaches them. When he boarded the chopper, Frostmark frontier pilot fiercely stepped forward, aggressively yanked open the cabin door and coldly told the airport pilot, "Get out, from now on. This chopper belongs to the military." The airport pilot's jaw practically hit the floor. "But this is the newest model. You might not know it." "Get out," the Frostmark pilot growled. "The commander is in a serious rush. No time for games." The airport pilot obediently abandoned the cockpit. Dallas brought a few soldiers familiar with the Aqualan terrain, then shouted to the rest, "Move out to the Rusty Nail District. He boards the commander's chopper. Immediately, the heavy engines roar to life, tearing straight into the clouds like a rocket, zeroed right in on the Rusty Nail District. Staring out that window, the Aqualan city skyline hasn't changed a bit. Streets and rivers flash by below him. Tears spill from his eyes. He whispers, "Ara, wait for me. I am coming. Pip. Daddy is finally back. Hold on just a little longer. Those monsters bullying you, I swear they will pay in blood." Meanwhile, back at that rundown house in the Rusty Nail District, inside the room, the bald thugs flash sick smiles, slowly advancing toward little Pip sitting completely helpless on the floor. Suddenly, a voice shouts out from the doorway, "Hey brothers, what is happening here?" The suited man guarding the door scowls, immediately stepping up to block two police officers sent over by Jarek. He glares at them coldly. "This is young Master Thorne's business. Better mind your own." Captain Loxley just scratches his head, forcing a fake laugh. "Got it, loud and clear. Whatever young Master Thorne is doing is obviously top priority. We just got a tip and came for a quick check. But honestly, just a fair warning, try not to kill anyone today. Upper management is watching this." Case closely, if things get messy, cleanup is a nightmare for us. The guard frowns, visibly annoyed. They are just disposable lackeys here, if a body actually drops. And the cops investigate, the Thorne family will absolutely throw them under the bus to save face. Let me think, the guard mutters, right. Then little Pip hears the voices outside. She waits for the bald thug to look out the window. Bam, she shoves the door open and sprints. Outside, she screams, "Mister, save me. Officer, please help Pip." The guard panics seeing her escape. Loxley immediately crouches down, playing the hero, totally pretending to care. "Whoa, little girl, slow down. What happened to your poor swollen face?" Pip grips her dad's photo tightly, pointing a shaking tiny finger at the massive thugs. "Mister, they took my mommy away. They want to kill me. Please help." Loxley rubs his chin, faking concern. "Really? Do you have any proof? Because without evidence, I cannot just arrest them. So unfortunately, I cannot help you today. Run along inside now. I have official police work." Seeing this corrupt cop turning away, Pip bursts into tears. "Don't leave, they really are monsters." Pip is not lying. "Save my mommy." Her absolutely heartbreaking cries echo down the hall, but that bald goon simply scoops her right up, dragging her right back inside. The little girl's eyes are completely filled with pure despair. You and I know no kid should ever feel that. Since she was little, her mom always promised the world was beautiful and evil people always get punished, but right now, reality just delivered a totally merciless blow. The door slams shut. This sick villain grabs a heavy rolling pin, literally thick as a little kid's arm. "You have some nerve, you little brat, trying to escape, but you are lucky. The boss said to keep you breathing, but those arms and legs say goodbye, and when you rot in the orphanage, do not ever dare mention your mother's name again. Understand?" He raises that solid wood weapon high, swinging it through the air. Pip clutches her dad's photo tightly, backing away in panic, stammering, I got it. Answer me," he roars, stepping right up, standing over her, violently slapping her already swollen cheeks again. "All right, you and I are diving right in." One rough grab and Pip screamed. She was absolutely terrified. "Daddy, where are you? Why haven't you come to save me?" The bald thug just sneered, eyeing the crumpled photo in her tiny hand. "You brat. Keep dreaming. Even if your dad shows up, the Thorne family will crush him. Young Master Thorne already claimed your mother. You think he would let some other guy live? If people found out, the Thorne family would look like a complete joke." Pure malice flashed in his eyes, but suddenly a deafening roar ripped through the sky. Like a waking beast, a massive helicopter shattered the clouds, dropping down with lightning speed. Hearing that thunderous noise, little Pip glanced up. Her teary eyes sparkled with sudden hope as she checked the window. "Could it be Daddy?" Mom said. "Daddy is a mighty hero. He will fly right out of the sky to save us." Rumble, the massive chopper dropped to a safe altitude, hovering fiercely midair. Its spinning blades instantly whipped up a brutal storm of flying dirt and dust. "Now watch this." Inside that chopper, Commander Vance felt his gaze dragged toward the house. A tiny girl with a filthy, tear-streaked face locked onto his vision. Her big, round, bright eyes stared back at him, filled with pure, overwhelming hope and anticipation. Her delicate eyebrows were so familiar, gentle but incredibly resilient. Her nose was undeniably cute, but what made his heart twist in absolute agony was that fiercely stubborn look in her eyes. It mirrored his own perfectly. Right then, Vance spotted two thugs in black suits. One blocked the door, aggressively glaring up at the hovering helicopter. The other stood over little Pip, gripping a heavy rolling pin like a butcher's blade, completely ready to strike her down. Vance's blood boiled instantly. His entire body ached. Like 1,000 venomous bugs were ripping him apart. That was his daughter. "Don't you dare touch her. Run, Pip. Daddy is here." He did not care if the girl heard him or not. He just shoved the cabin door open, screaming until his throat went completely hoarse. Seeing his wild posture, the pilot panicked. Terrified Vance would jump. He screamed, "Protect the commander." Simultaneously, every other helicopter in the squad rapidly dropped. their altitude hovering just 3 meters above the rough ground, through the chopper. Window Captain Dallas spotted those two shadowy figures inside the house. He knew that. Little girl was definitely Vance's family. Right now, Dallas wasn't thinking about earning military merit. His heart just surged with an indescribable volcanic rage. On the flight over, through a quick chat with the Frostmark squad, Dallas learned Vance was an absolute legend, a pivotal figure who pushed the Vidian Republic light years ahead. The commander spent his whole life protecting this country, yet the nation couldn't even protect his little girl. Realizing this, Dallas's eyes turned blood red, acting as if he wanted to spit the furious fire of his rage from his very soul. He roared, "Listen up, soldiers. Down there is Commander Vance's daughter, right? Now she is being threatened by absolute scumbags. Follow me down and protect the commander's daughter at all costs." Shouting that, Captain Dallas slung his rifle, leaping straight out of the open cabin door. He did not even bother using a rope. He did not care if dropping from this crazy height broke his legs. Only one thought burned in his mind: shaving off a single second meant that little girl would be a fraction safer. The rest of the squad grabbed their rifles and jumped out without a single shred of hesitation. Heavy thuds of bodies hitting the ground echoed continuously, and even though some sprained ankles, fractured bones, they didn't care. They gritted their teeth, gripping their rifles. They charged straight at the house, dropping gear and taking a knee. Above me, my helicopter pilot screamed, "Deploy the rope ladder for Commander Vance. No jump training, it is way too dangerous." Meanwhile, the others just kept dropping down. Safeties clicked off. They were fully ready for pure combat. In that split second before hitting the dirt, my men saw two images. First, the Starletter project out in the freezing Frostmark frontier. There I had pushed myself to the absolute breaking point, working to pure exhaustion, all for the experiments and data, collapsing right in the research lab. I lived in total chaos. That was me 6 years ago, and I was exactly the same today, never backing down. The second image they saw, the desperate, tender look in my own eyes as I stared down at my daughter from the chopper. Those two images fueled them. My soldiers swore that no matter the cost, no matter who stood in our way, they would unleash absolute hell to get justice for me, even if it cost them their very lives. I quickly slid down that rope ladder, right in front of the house. A bald goon heard the noise. He ran outside, saw the insane scene, and just froze, completely paralyzed, eyes wide with pure shock. Helicopters hovering above him, heavily armed soldiers raining from the sky like death was a joke. In a flash, over a dozen black rifle barrels locked dead onto him. Then a few of my limping soldiers rushed forward, violently slamming him to the dirt. He didn't even twitch. His mind went blank, utterly clueless as to what was happening. Inside, the fading sunlight pierced the window, lighting up my Pip's terrified little face. She just sat there, absolutely dumbfounded, like she couldn't believe her own eyes. In her darkest moment, my soldiers dropped in like literal heavenly warriors, riding the sunset straight down to save her. And there was one man looking at her, tears pouring down his face. "Me, is that Daddy?" Pip sat on the floor, staring in wonder as I walked quickly toward her, crying. The second she recognized my face, she screamed out, "Daddy, it is Daddy." Mommy always told her Daddy is a superhero. If Pip is a good girl, Daddy will fly down from the sky to see me. She had been so good, and now I was really here to save her. Pip's big eyes welled up with tears. She clumsily stood and bolted straight toward me. Like a little baby bird, she knew it was me, ever since she was old enough to talk. Her mother pointed at my photo and told her that was Daddy. The absolute best Daddy, a literal superhero. Seeing me now, she knew I had returned. Even missing 5 entire years of her life, there was zero distance between us. In her pure little heart, my image had lived with her every single day. All of it thanks to her mother's stories. In a flash, Pip buried into my chest, hugging me tight like a tiny koala. I choked back a heavy sob, weeping softly. "Daddy is here, Daddy is right here." feeling her trust me so completely. My heart felt like it was being ripped open. It is all Daddy's fault. I am so sorry. Sorry I didn't find you sooner. It is my fault, I whispered, completely consumed by deep regret and endless self-blame in front of my daughter. I couldn't say a single thing except I am sorry. Pip looked up, using tiny hands to wipe the tears off my cheeks and whispered, Daddy, do not cry. Daddy is a superhero. Superheroes never cry. I nodded hard, fighting back the heavy tears, He forces a smile for the little girl in his arms. Suddenly, he notices the mark on Pip's cheek. You and I can feel his heart clench. From the helicopter, he thought. It was dirt. Now, he realizes it is an injury. Daddy is not crying, but tell Daddy what happened here. Does it still hurt? Pip just looks up at him, gently reaching out her tiny hand to give him the crumpled photo she had been tightly clutching. They tried to steal Daddy's photo, she says. Pip would not let them, so they slapped me, but she did not give up. Why? Because this is Daddy's only photo. She had to protect it. The picture was from when he went mountain climbing, taken at some tourist spot. It was the single keepsake he left her, and these absolute bastards actually dared to try and steal it. They actually slapped Pip. Her innocent words echo in his mind. Over and over, his eyes flare up with pure rage and a massive thirst for pure vengeance. These guys deserve to die. No matter who backs them, he will completely flip this entire island upside down and rip them out by the roots. The sheer, overwhelming anger makes his throat taste sweet with blood. He covers Pip's eyes and unexpectedly spits out another mouthful of blood. 6 years of relentless grinding had completely drained his body and his mind. His physical state is entirely exhausted, and in these very short 12 minutes, his emotions went on a violent ride, causing his own blood flow to go totally haywire. He softens his voice. Pip, cover your ears and step inside the house for just a bit. Do not come out, okay? Okay, Daddy. Pip obediently covers her ears and stands completely still. He walks right outside, his face as cold as ice. He stares down at the two tied-up men in black. Who are you people? He glances at Captain Dallas. Dallas hesitates and says, Commander, just let us handle this mess. Do not dirty your hands. Dallas cocks an automatic rifle and very respectfully hands it over. Now watch what he does. He jams it straight into the bald goon's chest. I will ask one more time. Speak. The bald goon feels the heavy murderous intent radiating off him and panics. Please do not. It was not us. We were simply working for young Master Thorne. Your daughter is fine, so how about you let us go? We live in a society of law. Murder is a massive crime. The Thorne family in Kalin is not some ordinary bunch. Surely, Commander, you know that. His face remains entirely emotionless. He asks, where is Sterling? They took her far away. Young Master Thorne fancies her. The barrel of his heavy rifle slowly lifts up, pointing dead center at the bald goon's forehead. The guy scrambles back in pure panic, falling on the ground. Do not kill me. I belong to the Thorne family. I am still useful. You are a man of status. Kill me and you are implicated. Bang. Bang, bang. The commander does not want to hear another word. His eyes bloodshot. He pulls the trigger. The automatic rifle spits fire, turning the bald goon right into human Swiss cheese. He turns to the last remaining man in black. That hellish, deadly glare makes him stammer in terror. Please do not kill me. I am Master Thorne's guy. He says absolutely nothing, loads up a fresh magazine, and just coldly pulls the trigger. Bang, bang, bang. The heavy gunfire echoes as he loudly roars. I will make everyone connected to this pay in blood. Once done, he walks right back into the house and gently hugs Pip, who is obediently waiting. He covers her eyes softly, saying, it is done. You can open your eyes, but do not turn around, Captain. Dallas and the soldiers quickly follow behind. As he walks, the captain anxiously texts a report, not to snitch, but guys, he needs them to brace themselves for the fallout was real. The pilot walking alongside suddenly asked, Captain Dallas, were you actually planning to pull the trigger and take the blame for Commander Vance? Dallas sighed, nodding slowly. Exactly. Too many people rely On the commander, we couldn't let him carry that burden. The pilot just shook his head. You're overthinking things. 2 scumbag lives mean absolutely nothing here. Mark my words, even if Commander Vance flips all of Kalin completely upside down today, nobody dares to punish him. He dedicated his whole life to the Vidian Republic. This country needs him. Whoever stands in his way, no matter how terrifying their power, if the commander demands it, the soldiers of Vidia will gladly die to completely obliterate them right in front of him. Dallas froze, staring at the commander's back in absolute awe. The pilot also watched Vance, eyes filled with deep respect, a man who sacrificed so much for the nation. How could anyone humiliate him? Just watch closely. These 2 lives are just the appetizers for a much grander play. Dallas shuddered. Early on, he heard whispers about the massive forces backing Vance, thinking he understood things, but you and I know he hadn't even scratched the surface. Meanwhile, just outside the Rusty Nail district, Police Captain Loxley and a few officers cowered inside a dark car with the engine completely shut off. They trembled, watching Vance lead his heavily armed squad right out of the village. It wasn't until the armored military vehicles arrived to extract everyone that they finally dared to sit up straight. Just moments ago, they had witnessed an unbelievable scene. An entire fleet of military helicopters charged from the horizon, hovering midair. Soldiers with rifles dropped down like gravity was optional, and Vance, the mysterious commander, personally raised an automatic rifle and immediately gunned down young Master Thorne's 2 lackeys right on the spot. We are absolutely, totally dead. Loxley's face turned chalk white with pure panic. Young Master Thorne kicked a massive steel plate this time. If they investigate, we are definitely not escaping. If that little girl testifies we were there, they will track us down. When that happens, we are guaranteed dead meat. Yeah, Captain Loxley, please think of something fast. We only came here following orders. You can't just abandon us. Police officer panicked, his entire voice shaking. Loxley, looking paler by the second, grew incredibly irritable. Bastards, whenever there are actual perks I get nothing. Now that we need a scapegoat, you remember me. Stop arguing and think. I have a terrible feeling the sky over Kalin is collapsing. Military choppers. Who the hell is that guy? Loxley didn't answer, just slowly lowered his head in deep thought. A few tense minutes later, he looked up, voice hushed. Think about it, with the chief's power, can he even protect us? Absolutely joking. One officer shook his head. That was the literal military, coming to the Rusty Nail district was the chief's plan. If he can't protect himself, he'll end up like a mud statue crossing a fast river. He won't even survive. The officers gasped, recalling the bloodthirsty aura of those elite soldiers. Their terror immediately multiplied. Then, what exactly do we do? Should we contact Chief Jarek first for a plan? An officer suggested. The thought of making contact was terrifying, but everyone nodded. That's our only choice. Meanwhile, back at the massive Thorne family mansion, Lucius Thorne turned to butler Chadwick and ordered, "Call the young master. Tell him to be. Just don't sink the boat in a puddle. Tell him to stay alive, butler." Chadwick gave a quick nod and rushed out. Lucius just leaned back, completely lost in thought. He snatched up his phone. He needed to know who this arrogant punk actually was to plan his next move. No real backing. Well then, Lucius would make sure he never left Kalin breathing. But if he was a VIP, he'd play it smart, though honestly, he still wanted to skin him alive anyway. Lucius dialed up a few high-level, heavy-hitting friends, strangely enough. Nobody knew this guy's background, and you and I both know what made it weirder. They were all dodging the question on purpose, like they were terrified of the crossfire, hanging up super fast. Then Lucius frowned hard. Okay, this kid wasn't normal. Even those veteran politicians were shaking like leaves in a storm, but he realized something. The more powerful this guy was, the more destroying him would boost the Thorne family name. It was the ultimate chance to flex their power. Lucius tapped his fingers hard against his desk, dialing one last number. After forever, the call finally Went through, a rough voice echoed. I told you, unless it is a total crisis, do not call. Lucius faked a grin. Big brother, look, it might not be a complete disaster. Do not call me brother, the guy snapped. Ever since I joined the Huxley clan, I cut ties with the Thorns. Address me as minister. Huxley, annoyance flared up in Lucius's eyes, but he kept his smile fake. Minister Huxley, listen, even if it is not critical yet, the Thorne family is facing total destruction. If you refuse to step up, I swear the Thorne family gets completely erased from Akalin, and then both of us end up homeless. Dead silence stretched out on the line before the voice finally answered. Talk. So Lucius laid out the whole crazy situation, start to finish. The line went totally dead again for minutes, then the voice came back. You said he flew into Akalin by chopper with Captain Dallas. Man, you are looking at this way too simply. Provincial-level contacts cannot fix a mess like this. Lucius scowled. What do you mean? Local politicians simply cannot give military orders. Only someone inside the Akalin military zone could force Captain Dallas to move, meaning your target definitely has serious military backing. Lucius's eyes went completely cold. Wow, I didn't think I was underestimating this guy. Military connections, that's insane. Minister Huxley's voice smoothly continued, but he only pulled one captain. His actual influence might not be god tier. Here in Akalin, my godfather is actually the chief secretary of the whole military sector. He commands massive respect from the top commander. I'll make the call and have him squash this right now. Lucius froze. Honestly, we didn't see this coming either. A brother absent from Akalin for 10 years actually had these insane connections. Lucius only knew a basic regiment commander. Meanwhile, Minister Huxley was out here casually dropping the chief secretary's name. Absolute heaven-tier power he seriously needed to hold onto his brother's coattails. Lucius did the math, then added, oh right, the target also knows the top local bosses. Commissioner Lyle literally called him himself. Doesn't matter, I'll crush him. Minister Huxley replied coldly. I might just be the minister of propaganda, but working. Being in Zenith means local officials still have to respect me. Perfect, thanks, big brother. With your help, we are totally set. Lucius grinned. Skip the sweet talk, just keep the Thorne family controlled. Listen, this is your final warning. If your son starts another massive disaster, I will not help. One day he might trigger a catastrophe that drags the Thorne family down, and me right with you. Big brother, you exaggerate, little. Darius is just an overgrown kid. You are a Zenith minister. How could he actually ruin you? You give him way too much credit. I am serious. You need to discipline him now. Relax, big brother. I have already decided to lock him on the island. He will not go out causing trouble anymore. Are we good now? Meanwhile, you and I need to check the Western Provincial Highway. In Akalin, a Mercedes leads a massive convoy of 40 speeding vans and BMWs. Down the road, inside the car, Darius Thorne just finished a phone call with Butler Chadwick. His face looks absolutely furious. Bastard, who is this crazy guy? Protecting Sterling, he actually dared to wipe out my men. Do we know who he is? Yet is it the Sterling clan, fighting the mighty Thorne family over a woman? Do they want to die? Butler Chadwick calmly gives advice. Young master, head home and lay low for now. Get a lot more people to protect. Your father is making calls to fix this. Right now you must make absolutely certain the enemy cannot find you. Darius nods and hangs up the phone. Despite acting so arrogant, he plays it safe when his life is threatened. He immediately calls his buddies. Buster, I am near the Western Provincial Highway. Bring some guys to back me up immediately. Grab weapons. The more men, the better. Someone is trying to kill me. What? Someone is actually hunting you down. Are you serious right now? Who in Akalin dares to touch young Master Thorne? Did they completely lose their minds? Hold on tight, I am on my way. After several more frantic calls, Darius finally breathes a sigh of relief, looking at the 100 armed thugs surrounding him, plus another 100 inbound. he feels totally and completely. Confident with 300 people protecting me, I refuse to believe that this guy can touch me. Now he wonders who this mysterious enemy actually is and what his background is to challenge him like this. Is it really for Sterling? If so, I will teach him a bloody lesson, fighting me over a girl he clearly does not know. The meaning of death, to Darius, the Thorne family rules the entire sky of Kalin, a fact drilled into him since childhood, even if he takes a temporary beating. As long as his family has his back, nobody can ever touch him. Touching Darius Thorne means slapping his entire powerful family in the face. His father will absolutely never forgive that, but stick with me, he decides to play it smart and not rush back to his main base right away. He fears the enemy already knows the location and set up an ambush. He stops to wait for all of his backup to arrive. Before moving out, in another car, Allara Sterling stares blankly out at the totally unfamiliar surroundings. Her heart is completely panicking, but she does not dare ask a single thing. She only worries about Pip, terrified if her little daughter is safe. As for her own dark fate, she really could not care less. She has grown incredibly used to endless suffering. Death might actually be a peaceful release for her, but she fears if she dies, little Pip is too young to survive alone. She just cannot rest, thinking. Absolute despair washed over Ara, but then the sudden roar of heavy engines filled the air. Dozens of cars arrived, one after another. Seeing his backup finally pull up, Darius let out a massive breath. After greeting his men, he strutted right over to Ara's car and snarled, "Looks like you have some serious backing out here, huh? Somebody in Aqualin actually dared to cross me for you. Speak, is it the Sterling family? Did you beg them to save you?" Ara jolted. Right in that exact moment, she remembered little Pip's screaming words right before being taken away. "I called Daddy. Daddy will save us." Could it be him? Is Kayn still alive? But she quickly sighed, forcing herself to believe it was completely impossible. She was terrified of holding on to hope, only to be crushed by despair again. As for the Sterling family Darius just mentioned, that idea was even more ridiculous. She never contacted them, and honestly, even if she actually did, they wouldn't bother saving her anyway. To that family, Ara only mattered if she was useful. Now that the young master of the Thorne family had her, the Sterlings would absolutely run as far away as humanly possible, no question. Thinking about all this, Ara fell into a daze, completely clueless about what was actually happening. The Sterlings only cared about cold hard cash. They definitely never came to rescue her. So who was it? You and I both know. Was Kayn alive? Just thinking about that wild possibility, 2 heavy streams of tears rolled down her cheeks. Years ago, during her absolute lowest point, she met him, the man who brought her real hope, giving her pure joy and the actual will to survive. But in her darkest hour, would Kayn really show up? Darius saw Ara staying completely silent and furiously screamed, "Bitch, I am talking to you. Are you playing deaf?" Rumble. Suddenly, a massive, deafening roar echoed from the sky, getting louder by the second. Darius frowned and looked up. 3 heavy helicopters suddenly appeared on the horizon, speeding right toward them. His 300 goons stopped talking too, staring up. In total shock, inside the car, Ara heard those engines. She looked up roughly 100 meters away, and right there, piercing through the distance, she saw him. Kayn, leaning out the helicopter cabin door, his face completely etched with raw anxiety and tension. It was Kayn Vance, the man she loved. He came to take her home. Ara burst into tears, a gorgeous broken smile mixed with her heavy crying. She remembered the bedtime story she always told little Pip. Daddy is a true superhero who will fly down from the sky to punish the bad guys. And now Kayn was here, arriving from the sky just like that story. Unable to hold back, Ara shoved the car door open and bolted out, running desperately straight toward the chopper. She waved her arms with all her might, praying Kayn would see her. Up on the helicopter, Kayn was crying too, staring down at that familiar, desperate silhouette below. He realized she had lost so much weight, though she looked much more mature now. But seeing her messy hair and those dark bruises, the killing intent inside him completely exploded. "Ara, I am here. Wait for me," Kayn furiously roared, hearing his voice. She wailed, totally overwhelmed, waving her arms even harder at the sky. Hearing her cries, Darius snapped out of his daze, absolutely furious. "Drag her right back here," arriving in a chopper. That bastard must actually have some serious backing. Darius wasn't stupid. You and I know he messed up, so his only option was to use Ara as a hostage, so he wouldn't be a sitting duck. But his thugs just froze, stammering in terror. "Young master, those look like special ops. They have weapons." The young master scoffed. "So what? This is Aqualin. You really think they dare shoot me? I am the Thorne family heir. They would not fire unless they want to die." His goons actually bought that logic. The Thorne family in Aqualin was totally terrifying. Even with weapons, would these soldiers really dare to mow down a massive crowd? Gaining fake confidence, a few thugs immediately lunged right at Ara. Meanwhile, up above from the two armed helicopters, the heavy clack of rifles cocking echoed loudly. The special ops captain roared his orders: "Drop fast, protect Miss Sterling, any scum daring to approach her, shoot to kill immediately." Bang, two thugs charging straight for Ara caught hot lead instantly, dropping dead on the pavement. The massive military choppers touched down fast. Absolute relentless gunfire followed. In just a blink, almost 20 thugs surrounding Ara hit the dirt, but she did not care about the absolute carnage. Looking up, she ignored it all, her eyes locked on Kalin's silhouette, the man she had not seen in 6 long years. He was burning with pure impatience on that chopper, hovering 10 meters off the ground. He literally could not wait, sliding rapidly down the heavy rope ladder. Boots hitting a pool of crimson blood, he sprinted forward. Some dying thugs tried to grab his legs, but before they even got close, the elite Frostmark soldiers behind Kalin executed them instantly. He completely ignored the deafening gunfire. In his eyes, only Ara Sterling. Closing the gap, he threw his arms open and pulled her tight against his chest. "Is it really you, Kayn Vance? I missed you so much. Hold me tight. Do not let me wake up. Please do not ever leave me again." Ara's tears completely soaked his shirt. For years she had swallowed endless pain, unlike little Pip who could cry to her mom. Ara was an adult. She had absolutely nobody to share her heavy burdens. The Sterling family treated her like total trash and kicked her out, raising Pip all by herself. Through crushing hardship and vicious rumors, she carried that heavy weight entirely on her own 2 shoulders. Without Kalin there, she had nobody to lean on. But now, wrapped in his arms, she finally found that lost sense of total security. Kalin's voice went rough as he held her tight. "It is all my fault. I was way too late. If I had known earlier, I never would have let you suffer. Because of my dangerous status after that incident, I was terrified you would be targeted too, so I vanished quietly. I never expected that choice would lead to this. I am so sorry. It is all my fault." Ara listened quietly, seeing him blame himself, and she actually smiled. Lifting her head from his chest, she reached up to hold his face, kissing him fiercely. All around them lay blood and dead bodies. Above them, heavy choppers hovered. In the distance, the brutal sound of gunfire raged, but nothing mattered now. They simply lost themselves in a deep, passionate kiss. Pulling back, she glanced at the soldiers forming a human shield to protect them, then finally asked the massive question she had buried for so long. "After all this time, shouldn't you tell me who you really are? Do not dodge the question, Kalin. Who are you? If you vanish again, no matter where you are, Pip and I will find you." Just then, the special ops captain stepped up and reported, "Commander, some thugs are fleeing in cars, awaiting your..." "All right, let's watch this chaos unfold." Through the human wall, he sees terrified thugs fleeing for their lives. Then our guy looks back at Allar's bruised face. His eyes flash with pure deadly intent. Darius Thorne absolutely cannot escape, and he definitely cannot die. He needs him alive. The murderous tone in his voice makes everyone absolutely shiver. Run, run, oh my god, they are actually shooting. They are killing people. Holy crap, those are real rifles, right? Actual assault rifles, who the heck? Did the young master piss off? This is just way too brutal. Darius Thorne's goons clutched their heads, scattering in pure panic, wailing miserably. Wishing they could sprout extra legs. Just moments ago, they were laughing and joking around, yet one single gunshot and their buddy's head exploded. A scene straight out of an action movie, playing out in real life right before their eyes. No one could stay calm. They assumed it was just a normal gang brawl, thinking with numbers no one would dare act, but the relentless gunfire completely shattered all their illusions. They felt like they were staring pure death in the face, completely paralyzed by fear. Meanwhile, Darius Thorne is driving his sports car away, trembling uncontrollably. Who is he? Who the heck is this guy? Not from Kalin. Kalin does not have a big shot like this guy. He is actually shooting. He has to get home. Only home is safe. He refuses to believe anyone dares approach the Thorne family just to kill people. Smashing the gas pedal, he steers his convertible off the western provincial highway onto a narrow road leading straight to Mount Cloudfall. It is the shortest route home. The closer he gets, the brighter his eyes shine, the flames of pure revenge burning fiercely. He swears he will make our MC pay a massive price, but suddenly a strange noise echoes from ahead. Buster, driving another car, suddenly asks young master, what exactly is that strange noise? Before he can even process it, the deafening roar of helicopters echoes from the sky. Behind them, panicking hard, Darius just slams the gas, desperately speeding forward. But the moment he rounds a curve, you and I witness true madness. Something straight from movies appears. Right before his eyes, he stares in absolute horror. Tanks, holy mother of God. Right in front of him sits an entire row of camo-painted tanks. They're long cannons lined up, completely blocking the road. Buster is absolutely dumbfounded. Where did these tanks come from? Are they real? Why are they parked here? Did we make a wrong turn? Coming around the curve and spotting these metal behemoths, Buster immediately slams the brakes, utterly terrified of crashing into them. Those massive tanks block the road completely. There is literally no way through. Darius Thorne's face turns completely ash white. Even with courage the size of the sky, he wouldn't dare act tough in front of these literal war machines. Seeing the heavy tanks remain perfectly still, he slowly reverses, desperately trying to find another route. Buster, pale as a ghost, stammers, young master, these military tanks, they could not possibly be here for you, right? These are real tanks. We are not fighting a war here. Who could mobilize an entire fleet of tanks like this? Even the massive Thorne family could never do this in Kalin. They must be doing some military drills or something, right? His words are not just to comfort Buster, but to desperately reassure himself. Darius whispers, desperately trying to convince himself, too. These heavy tanks showing up out of nowhere, perfectly blocking the road home, making it absolutely impossible not to overthink. But honestly, the tanks could not possibly be for him. He just kidnapped. Helicopters were already overkill, but tanks, no way, absolutely impossible. Panicking, Darius throws the car in reverse. He needs distance fast. He plans to hit the highway and find another route home, but then he glances in the rearview mirror and completely freezes up. Those Mercedes, the exact cars his thugs had abandoned, are now speeding right at him. Only dozens of meters away. Damn it, Darius is in full panic mode. He cannot let them catch him. They are way too ruthless for that. Remembering his men getting gunned down, pure terror floods his eyes. Turning back means certain death. His car would be shot to absolute pieces. He swears if he survives this, he is buying a bulletproof ride immediately. Left with zero options, he speeds toward the parked tanks and hits the brakes. Shoving his head out the window, he screams his identity. I am Darius Thorne, the only son of the Kalin patriarch. Please make way for me. Someone is trying to kill me. Let me pass, and we will reward you. Handsomely, of course. Right on cue, the hatch of the leading tank pops open. Darius feels a massive wave of relief, thinking his shouting actually worked. He sprints over and rambles frantically. "Big bro, I am from the Thorne family. My dad is the boss. Move the tank and let me through, please. Get me home safely, and I swear you will be heavily compensated." But the soldiers stepping out of the tank act totally deaf to his begging. Standing straight as pillars, their intense eyes remain locked dead ahead. Staring right at the approaching Mercedes, when they stop, our main character steps out. Instantly, every single soldier in front of the tanks raises their hand in unison. Saluting sharply, they roar together, "Greetings, Commander." The 7th Company of the Kalin Military Region reporting, awaiting your orders. Like a literal bolt of lightning to the brain, Darius is completely paralyzed. Awaiting his orders, these soldiers, these tanks, our guy called them all here. You and I can almost feel the air turn, suffocating as Darius stares blankly. Our hero returns the sharp salute, then speaks with absolute ice, "Take him alive." Full panic mode, Darius scrambles toward his car to escape, but the soldiers move. Rifles raised in perfect harmony. Boom, they shoot out his tires immediately. Marching forward, they use their rifle butts to ruthlessly smash the car windows. His billion-dollar ride destroyed, Darius screams in pure terror, pounding the door. But they just drag him out like a helpless chicken and tie him up. The rescue of Allara Sterling is officially a massive success for now. As for those lackeys, our guy does not spare a single one of them. Anyone trying to flee in cars gets instantly sniped by the helicopter gunners. The rest are easily captured. Meanwhile, up in a mansion on Mount Cloudfall, Lucius Thorne hears the grim report, and his expression completely darkens. He is furious. What? His precious son was captured. Absolute madness. Daring to touch my son, you little punk, you are a dead man. Meanwhile, back at a highly guarded hospital, he arranged for Aura to watch over Pip. But honestly, you and I know this reckoning with the Thorne family is just starting. Cut to the western suburbs. Darius has his hands and feet completely bound up. Kneeling there, he glares at our hero aggressively and roars out a desperate threat. "Let me go. I am Darius Thorne, the only heir to the Thorne family. If you touch me, my family will completely destroy you. Look, you clearly have power, right? So you definitely know how strong the Thorne family is. Let us be honest. There is no deep blood feud between us. We do not need to fight until both sides are destroyed. Fine, I admit taking your woman was wrong, but I didn't do anything to her. You already killed dozens of my men anyway. We are totally even, right? For high society elites like us, profit is everything. Is one single woman really worth risking our lives over? High society, our main character sneers, turning around and ordering, "Give me a knife." A Frostmark soldier immediately pulls out a heavy combat knife. Now, you and I watch as our hero takes the blade and walks toward Darius. The guy panics, ready to beg for his life, but hesitates. If I show weakness, he will think the Thorne family is a joke. Will he kill me right here? Swallowing his fear, Darius yells out, "Do not think you can scare me. I am the young master of the Thorne family. You and your stinking soldiers daring to murder people is an abuse of power, a total massacre. You are done. For if you refuse to let me go, public outrage will absolutely explode, no matter what power you hold. Nobody can protect you. Let me go now. I promise the Thorne family will help cover this mess up completely so word never gets out. You deserve to die." Before Darius can even finish his empty threat, a blood-curdling scream echoes out. Our MC stabs the knife straight into his lower nether regions, then rips it back out. Crimson blood spurts everywhere, trailing down the gleaming, heavy blade. Onto the floor, Darius squeals like a slaughtered pig. The hero grabs the phone he found on him and calls Lucius Thorne directly. "Darius Thorne is in my hands. I am giving you two choices. Option 1, Darius Thorne dies. Everyone involved in this confesses and accepts their punishment. You personally come to beg for forgiveness and this matter ends. Option 2, try to avenge your son. Let us see if the Thorne family has what it takes." On the other end, Lucius Thorne is breathing heavily. After a tense, agonizing silence, he totally explodes. Who gave you the guts to take my son? If a single hair on his head is harmed, I will chop you into 100 pieces and leave you without an intact corpse. In Aqualin, absolutely no. One acts tough with the Thorne family. Who the heck are you? Are you seriously looking for death? Our main character calmly replies, as expected, you chose the second path. Well, then you can listen to your son speak one last time. He places the phone in front of Darius, who is currently writhing in absolute, agonizing, half-dead pain. Save me, Dad, save me, he stabbed me. Kill him, you have to kill him. Standing right beside him, our guy drives the knife directly into his chest. The blade flashes, sinking deep. Before today, he was just a simple scientist, a quiet researcher who had never killed anyone. But today, counting Darius Thorne, he had officially taken 3 lives. You and I know once you step onto this blood-soaked path, there is no turning back. Little Darius, how are you? Speak. What did you do to him, you bastard? Answer me, what did you do to my son? Lucius screams into the phone. Seemingly guessing the grim reality, our hero speaks coldly. I ended his pain, and let me remind you, you chose the second path. Darius Thorne losing his life is only the beginning. From now on, the Thorne family in Aqualin completely ceases to exist. You can use all your power to seek revenge or wait for me to come to you. Oh, and I am. All right, you and I are watching pure madness. Kalin hung up, turning to leave. On the floor, Darius Thorne lay in a massive pool of his own blood, barely even breathing. Captain Dallas stood quietly nearby. Seeing Kalin was completely finished, he stepped right up, handing over a highly secured USB drive. Commander, here is every shred of evidence covering the Thorne family's absolute tyranny in Aqualon. Just Lucius and Darius alone, over 7 confirmed kills, vicious assaults, and massive horrific crimes, plus massive money laundering, huge tax evasion, and endless bribery. Why hold out on me? Kalin frowned, snatching up the flash drive. Dallas flashed a bitter smile. Commander, the Thorne family's dark influence goes insanely deep, not just locally in Aqualin but statewide. Rumor actually says they have heavy backing from way up top. Until I knew we could totally crush them, I didn't dare expose this. We only get one shot at this. If word leaked that I was secretly gathering this evidence, taking them down would become totally impossible. It would cost countless lives. Kalin nodded, dropping the subject. Perfect. Go broadcast in absolute lockdown order across all of Aqualin. No, the entire Aqualin province. From right now, anyone holding dirt on the Thorne family's shady business needs to send it directly to his email. Kayn Vance openly promised to completely annihilate them within 3 days. This news exploded like absolute wildfire, throwing all of Aqualin into pure, unhinged chaos. Meanwhile, inside a highly guarded, elite conference room, the city's heavyweights of Aqualin had quickly gathered. Old Man Tobias, head of the Tobias clan, hosted. Scanning the nervous crowd, Tobias finally spoke in a dangerously low tone. Everyone, you are all here, so you definitely know what just happened. Aqualin hasn't seen a shake up this massive in forever, and let's be real, none of us can hide from this. We all know exactly how terrifying the Thorns are, but this mysterious Kalin Vance, he is absolutely no joke either. So who do we back? We are all basically chained together right now. Whoever we pick, we have to stay totally united. This is a literal life or death gamble. Pick wrong, we die. I strongly advise anyone thinking about playing both sides like complete cowards to drop that stupid idea right this second. Entire room instantly exploded into pure chaos and furious debate. Everyone understood the terrifying stakes. Kalin and the Thorne family had hit a violent breaking point, where only one side survives. Kalin was completely dead set on wiping the Thorne Empire, meaning anyone linked to them gets completely purged. If these elites didn't back Kalin right now, they would absolutely burn as collateral damage when the Thorns finally fell. But if they picked the wrong side and got purged, their entire life's work would just vanish into thin air. And if they actually backed Kalin Vance while the Thorns fought, A brutal, scorched earth war. Would those villains really ever spare any? Defectors, you and I both know history. People tried to challenge the Thorne Empire. But their fates were always completely tragic. The Thorne family's dark reputation was built step by bloody step, battle after battle. Wiping out the sheer terror gripping these powerful elites was not gonna be easy. The biggest problem, they had zero clue how incredibly overpowered Kayn truly was, but they knew the Thorne family's ruthless power way too well. For years, the Thorns had basically evolved into the untouchable local emperors of Akalone. All sorts of industries were totally devoured by them, piece by greedy piece, yet absolutely nobody ever dared to complain because the Thorns were just way too powerful. With a single wave of their hand, they could effortlessly crush anyone. Honestly, which of these nervous elites didn't want taking down the Thorne family? You and I know they wanted it, but fear paralyzed them. If they joined Kalen's side, and he failed, knowing the Thorns' brutal methods, would they survive? Not a chance. The Thorns would absolutely annihilate their entire bloodlines. Total wipeout. They'd ruin everything. Honestly, the Thorns had done this exact thing countless times before. They were professionals at destroying lives. With their massive influence, they never needed hitmen. No hidden blades required. Just pulling a few high-level strings was always enough to make any rival completely collapse. Inside that boardroom, everyone was sweating bullets, totally torn. Picking a side felt impossible. This wasn't just business, it was a literal death gamble. Everything was on the line. The whole room just exploded into frantic, screaming debates. Just showing up to this meeting proved they secretly hated the Thorne family's guts. Years of absolute tyranny had basically made them everyone's enemy. These elites felt zero pity. They honestly just prayed for the Thorns' sudden downfall. Total destruction. Almost every single person there held dirty secrets about the Thorne Syndicate. They had the receipts waiting for the perfect strike, but pure terror kept them paralyzed. No one stepped up. Old man Tobias just smiled bitterly, helpless. What are we even discussing? We cannot hide forever. Time is basically up. A minute ago, that ancient monster from the Thorns dropped a bomb. He gave me 2 hours to show up. He is forcing us to choose sides or get slaughtered. Damn it, he commanded me to. Looks like that psycho sent the same threat to everyone here. What do we actually do? I swear I want to end that old freak. He treats us like what? Dogs. We come when called and scatter when kicked. He is seriously pushing us into a dead end. Are the Thorns seriously not afraid we might actually bite back? Should we even show up? Going is absolute suicide. Showing our faces means telling Kalin Vance we chose the Thorns. If Kalin takes the win, we are dead meat. Exactly, we got bullied by those tyrants for decades, and now we gotta share their grave. Plus, we only have 2 hours left. That twisted old villain gave us zero time to even process. Trapped, can't stay, can't run. What now? As old man Tobias finally finished his grim warning, absolute panic erupted. These untouchable elites literally felt like their brains were about to explode. One side of them desperately wanted to crush the Thorns to dust, but on the other, placing that deadly bet was terrifying. Caught right in the middle, suddenly a stunningly sharp businesswoman raised her head, eyes narrowing. Does anyone here actually know who Kalin Vance really is? We already know the Thorns' monstrous power. For this kid to act this fearless, his background must be absolute insanity. Exactly, a massive middle-aged boss sneered back. Even if Kalin has backing, how could he possibly eclipse the mighty Thorns? He is just an arrogant punk flying blind, totally oblivious to the true power scaling in this city, he barked out. Listen, according to all our underground intel, Kalen's support network isn't even that crazy. He mostly relies on Captain Dallas, provincial level at best, but the Thorne Syndicate, oh, you and I know they have deep, heavy roots all the way in Zenith. It is no contest. Those brutal words made everyone turn completely white. The Thorns' elite Zenith ties were exactly the thing terrifying them the most. Instantly, another voice cut in. But wait, what if Kalin also commands secret power in Zenith? we literally know zero facts about him. Right, the kid might be hiding 90% of his true strength. Seriously, let's not jump to fatal conclusions. Watching the entire room slowly side with Kalin, the boss furiously slammed his fist down. Even if that punk knows Zenith VIPs, is he stronger than the Thorne family? And even if he does, have you considered the brutal fallout? When you involve those massive Zenith elites, do you honestly think they are going to fight to the death for us bottom feeders? When that blows up, the ones who suffer most are a small fry. His grim warning immediately darkened everyone's faces. These guys had survived the ruthless business world for years, absolute veterans, sly old foxes. They instantly grasped the deadly trap. Whichever side they picked, a clean and happy ending was highly unlikely. You and I both know the stakes, so what now? Someone's voice chimed in. The middle-aged man lowered his tone. Unless Kayn Vance actually has deep ties in Zenith, but military backing, maybe even the entire nation behind him. Only then would the Thorne family finally lose. He slowly shook his head, trailing off into silence. But that is pure fantasy. Who could possibly be that overpowered? Sounds like an absolute myth, right as everyone hit that desperate dead end, urgent knocking slammed against the door. The Tobias family butler rushed inside, panting completely out of breath. Patriarch, big trouble, something massive just happened. What is the rush? Just speak slowly. What is so urgent? Old man Tobias was already losing patience, seeing the butler. Panic just made him even more annoyed. The butler frantically gasped out, Patriarch, this head of the Sterling family, Alden Sterling, actually tried to convince his daughter Allara to demand that Kalin Vance personally march right over to the Thorne family and apologize, begged the Thorne family for mercy. Everyone in the room completely froze. Alden Sterling was still the Sterling family boss, a major figure with serious respect in Alan, yet he was acting this incredibly cowardly. They all knew the dark story. Allara was nearly murdered by the Thorne family young master. To make things worse, his granddaughter was beaten half to death. That blood feud ran deep. Yet Alden actually dared to ask his daughter to drag the man who saved her life to grovel before the Thorne family. If she really went, would they even spare her? Alden totally knew the deadly consequences, yet he still did it, just because he feared the Thorne family authority. He was ready to push his own flesh and blood right into a literal meat grinder. What kind of cowardly trash is this guy? I thought Alden Sterling was a tough boss. Turns out he is totally spineless, throwing his own daughter under the bus. If anyone dared touch my kid, I would risk my life to make them bleed. Thorne family or not, Alden Sterling is truly useless, pushing his own child into the flames. The Thorne family son is already dead. Does he really think sacrificing his daughter fixes anything? That the ruthless Thorne family will forgive the Sterlings? The room erupted in pure condemnation. Old man Tobias listened quietly, saying absolutely nothing. He suddenly took a hard look at himself. Wasn't he acting exactly like Alden Sterling today, enduring painful humiliation his entire life? Was he going to stay a pathetic coward? His cloudy eyes slowly turned incredibly sharp. He knew this was likely his final chance to fight back. He just hoped Kalin Vance was truly strong enough. As the angry crowd buzzed, the butler put down his phone and continued the frantic report. Patriarch, breaking news, Allara Sterling completely rejected Alden's insane demand. After that, Alden personally led the entire Sterling family to the Thorne family mansion. The Sterlings just publicly announced they are severing all ties with Allara. No more father and daughter, siding with the Thorne family, ready to sacrifice their own blood. Now watch this. They are fully collaborating with the Thorne family, using all their power and elite connections to destroy Kalin Vance. The second he stopped talking, the room went dead silent. You and I can feel the tension. Everyone there was secretly scheming. With the Sterling family backing them up, the Thorne family's grip grew stronger. Right then, this bald CEO stands up and makes his call. I have made my Choice, I choose the Thorne family. Kalin Vance cannot shake this giant behemoth. You guys are on your own. He turned around, refusing to waste another second. Old man Tobias tried to stop him. CEO Niles, wait, let us discuss. But Tobias got cut off immediately. The bald CEO just sneered right back. What is there to discuss, Tobias? My mind is made up. Do you think Alden Sterling is an idiot, siding publicly with the Thorne family? He definitely investigated Kalin Vance thoroughly. The Thorne family is clearly giving us an out right now. I have to take this chance. The mighty Thorne family is still an absolute massive juggernaut. Kalin Vance cannot shake them, and we absolutely cannot afford to offend them anymore. Beep beep. Suddenly, CEO Niles' phone lit up with a text. Crazy timing. Every single phone in that room started buzzing all at once. Niles checked his screen. Reading the text, his entire face went completely pale. The message, Darius Thorne's dead body, was just discovered right outside the city. Cameras caught Kalin Vance gunning down Darius Thorne's men in cold blood. Hard proof, Chief Garrick instantly ordered a massive citywide lockdown, blocking every single exit. He mobilized the entire Akalan police force to hunt down suspect Kalin Vance. Anyone connected to Kalin Vance, subject to instant arrest, no questions asked. Reading this, the elites were paralyzed with fear. See, the mighty Thorne family was fighting back hard. CEO Niles snapped. Why are you all hesitating? Kalin Vance is a wanted criminal now. Once he gets caught, what can he even do? He is finished. Daring to challenge the Thorne family, he is nothing. A single text message pushed these elites into absolute terror. See that is pure Thorne family power, locking down a whole city in one single instant. Before Kalin Vance could even start fighting, he was already public enemy number one. With the city locked down completely, where could he run? Capture meant death. Even if the heavens themselves opened up, nobody was saving Kalin Vance today. The room exploded into panic. The Thorne family is still the absolute undisputed king. We cannot provoke them at all. Chief Jarek definitely knows something really huge now. Even he is backing the Thorne family now. What are we still waiting for? We are out of time. I am heading to the Thorne family right now. These elites, totally hesitant moments ago, now wishing they could magically teleport straight to the Thorne mansion. No more delays. Suddenly, only old man Tobias was left in that room. He sighed heavily. What a pathetic bunch of complete cowards. They actually had proof of the Thorne family's crimes, but nobody dared use it. The Thorne family literally wags one finger, and everyone loses their minds in fear. Now Tobias finally understood why the Sterling family risked absolutely everything to secretly earn the Thorne family's forgiveness. Meanwhile, downstairs outside the massive main conference building, the elites were frantically waiting for their cars to reach the Thorne mansion. Out of nowhere, someone yelled out, "Do you guys hear that crazy noise?" Confused, the whole crowd looked up at the sky. A massive roaring noise was echoing from above. Oh my God, helicopters, why are there so many helicopters? Wait, what is happening right now? Why is there an entire fleet of choppers? Everyone stared at the northwest, totally stunned. Dozens, maybe hundreds of dark green attack choppers were tearing right through the clouds, charging straight at them, flying so low they could spot every detail. Each bird was fully loaded with heavy artillery. On the left side, Vidian Aviation, but watch this, the right side clearly read Crimson Howlers of the Northwest. Vidian Aviation was normal. Almost every rocket made by the Republic has that name, but the Crimson Howlers of the Northwest way more obscure. A few top elites started shaking and muttering, the Crimson Howlers, they are literally the #1 legion. Out in the Gobi Desert, they guard Vidia's northwestern border, incredibly famous worldwide for destroying enemies. Good grief, what in the world are we even witnessing? Someone mumbled, shivering hard. The Thorne family's butler, standing nearby, gave this incredibly smug smile. You all know the Thorne family's second master, right? His godfather is an absolute titan in the military region. See why the Thorne family holds such insane power now, as a member of the Thorne family. He looked insanely proud, hearing that, Boss Victor. Vane almost dropped his phone in pure terror. All those tanks and armored vehicles below, plus all those helicopters above, all called in by the Thorne family. He took a sharp breath, totally overwhelmed with despair. Their power was genuinely terrifying. Everyone guessed right. This entire military force seriously came just for the Thorne family. With this insane backup, who dares stand against them? That is literal suicide. You and I know they hesitated, thinking that young punk Kalin Vance could take the Thorne family. What does he even have to fight this? He is dead meat. The butler's cold voice echoed over the phone again. Boss Vane, you see the Thorne family's true power now. Time waits for no one. Our patriarch lacks patience. You get exactly one chance right now. Don't show up. You can face the consequences yourself. I know those other people are listening. Tell them to. Click. The butler hung up, leaning back on his son. Lounger with a freezing smile. Those pathetic insects are probably terrified right now. Kalin belongs entirely to the Thorne family. Oppose us. That only leads down the path of death. Boss Vane let his phone slip, totally stunned. He stiffly faced the other elites. Well, you guys all heard what the Thorne butler just said, right? I have no idea what you are thinking, nor do I care, but I must go too. The Thorne family immediately. We are out of time. He bolted from the courtyard in a complete panic. The elites left behind had incredibly ugly expressions. They heard that butler loud and clear. Someone let out a heavy sigh. Man, armored vehicles down below, helicopters up above. The Thorne family is way too terrifying. What is there left to debate? I'm heading to the Thorne family too. I don't want to die today. A bunch followed suit, looking totally resolute. Once someone actually led, everyone else crumbled. Soon, the courtyard was empty except for Old Man Tobias and a few others. They just stared at each other in shock, hearts full of sorrow and despair. Old Man Tobias completely despised those elites fleeing like dogs, but he honestly understood them. Staying behind right now meant certain death. The Thorne family is just way too terrifying. Calling in the military was enough to break anyone's soul. What else could they do? The people remaining were terrified but filled with pure defiance. They absolutely hated the Thorne family, refusing to submit. That is exactly why they stuck around. They always used to dream of crushing the mighty Thorne family, but the harsh reality, the Thornes simply never fell, only growing stronger every single day. Initially, they put a little of hope in Kalin Vance, but get this, the Thorne butler's phone call pushed them straight into an abyss. They finally realized they had completely underestimated the Thornes. Their crushing power was basically suffocating. Every single eye turned straight to Old Man Tobias. What was his big move? They had always stood by his side. Now they needed his guidance, even though they had basically guessed his answer. They asked anyway, just to brutally crush that very last spark of fight in their hearts and bury their hope forever. Old Man Tobias just looked totally helpless. Let us leave. What else can we do? You all should go, he tried saying more, but only let out a heavy sigh. His entire body withered in pure defeat. The silent crowd just nodded and slowly left the courtyard. They understood perfectly that walking through those doors meant absolute zero turning back. From this moment on, they had to kneel, lick the Thorne family boots, and desperately beg for a chance to survive. They literally had no other option. Meanwhile, over in a modest zenith room, a guy stood by a window, carefully listening to his elite squad give their report. Based on the latest updates, the 7 Grand Generals of the mighty Vidian Science Alliance, the absolute top minister of security, along with dozens of powerful military and political heavyweights, just touched down in Kalin. The business world is moving too. Over 200 top CEOs holding $100 billion fortunes and 50 massive chairmen with trillion-dollar empires are heading straight there. Now, you and I know Kalin is the storm's core. He was completely stunned. What terrifying influence is this? The youngest Vidian doctor truly lives up to his legendary name. He suddenly remembered a crucial detail and hurriedly asked, have the Special Ops Forces and the Crimson Howlers of the Northwest arrived yet? His subordinate went completely silent for a second before answering. The Special Ops Squad is already fully deployed in Akalin, but those Crimson Howlers need more time. They have not arrived yet. The man was absolutely furious. Do you not realize the vital importance of Commander Vance and the senior academics? No one is allowed a single accident. If even one person has a mishap, the Vidian Republic suffers an insane, incalculable loss. Totally understood. I will urge them now. The subordinate nodded and sprinted off. Back at the Akalin airport, Captain Dallas led 5,000 elite soldiers, standing in perfect formation, moving out from the airport. Pip, following Kalin's strict arrangement, had headed back to the Rusty Nail district. After Captain Dallas departed, Kalin had 0 bodyguards around him. Minister Trenton immediately stepped up, standing right behind Kalin, taking on the massive role of protecting the youngest doctor in Vidian history, guided by airport staff. Kalin and the senior academicians of the Science Alliance quickly boarded their specialized vehicles and left the airport. As they all departed the airport, staff finally breathed a massive sigh of relief. Some collapsed to their knees, drenched in sweat. When else would they ever witness a crazy scene like this? Every single person who touched down was a legendary VIP, bringing names that could make anyone's soul tremble. Today, all these titans arrive at Akalin Airport simultaneously. The whole atmosphere over Akalin is shifting, and trust me, this is exactly what Kalin wants. He's ready to flip Akalin completely upside down, a total purge top to bottom. Kalin immediately orders the airport staff to get all flights running again. The airport returns to normal. Time is ticking. Meanwhile, Minister Trenton steps outside. He frowns, immediately sensing that something is terribly wrong. Suddenly, a squad of local cops marches right up. They completely ignore Trenton. Instead, their eyes lock dead onto Kalin, the youngest guy standing there. Their eyes light up with pure greed. Suspect Kayn Vance, it's really him. Don't let this punk run. He finally showed up. Let's get him. The officers excitedly charged straight at Kalin. Chief Jarek just placed a massive bounty on his head. Seeing this, Minister Trenton's face turns absolutely pitch black with rage. Others are confused, but Trenton knows this fake warrant came from that corrupt bastard Jarek. Right now, Trenton looks ready to literally skin Jarek alive. Seriously, pure murder in his eyes. Meanwhile, seeing these unhinged cops charge forward, Kalin is genuinely stunned, but he quickly sidesteps, physically shielding the older academicians like Director Mercer. Then Trenton snaps, stop right there. He steps up, grabs a cop by the collar, and violently yanks him back. Who gave you the guts to block us? Stand down, he roars, stepping right in front of Kalin. His killing intent is completely off the charts. Let's see who dares touch him. But then smack, Trenton lets out a loud grunt. A brutal slap lands right on his face, staggering him. A bright red mark forms instantly on his cheek. The whole airport suddenly goes dead silent. Kalin is frozen. The senior academicians are frozen. Every single bystander is completely speechless. Guys like Director Mercer feel like they are straight up hallucinating. Are you and I actually seeing this? Did a cop just do that? Minister Trenton just got slapped, literally the highest-ranking security boss in the entire Vidian Republic, a guy sitting at the very top of the food chain. Slapped like a rookie right outside Akalin Airport. Even Trenton himself is completely short-circuiting. Slowly recovering from the shock, he touches his burning cheek, still trying to process the disrespect. But that sharp sting proves this is reality. Pure absolute rage erupts. He glares at the arrogant officer, screaming his lungs out. You have a death wish. Do you have any idea who you just hit? But the cop, looking super annoyed, just sneers. Like I care who you are, blocking official. Police business. You think you are untouchable, old man. Cuff this guy right now. Instantly, 3 heavyset officers rush forward, and tackle Minister Trenton hard onto the concrete, snapping handcuffs on him perfectly. You absolute lunatics. Is there no justice in Akalin? Is the law a complete joke here? Trenton screams, violently thrashing on the floor, but these cops totally ignore him. Now, with him restrained, they lunge straight at Kalin. The crowd freezes again. Did they just hear that right? Arrest suspect Kayn Vance. Our VIP is a criminal. This is the biggest joke of the century. Everyone stands paralyzed, minds blown, just watching this insane disaster unfold. Suddenly, Director Mercer is the very first to snap back to reality. He urgently throws himself in front of Kalin, shouting, "Officers, what are you doing? A suspect. You have the totally wrong guy here. He cannot be a suspect. All right, you and I know who he is. A brilliant doctor, a hero who literally bled for this country. You seriously dare call him a suspect? Dare to arrest him? Your arrogance is off the charts." Director Mercer's furious words snapped everyone right back to reality. The elite academicians, high-ranking government officials, and the entire entourage stepped forward, completely surrounding and protecting our MC. Especially the Grand Generals. Their eyes went ice cold, pure killing intent boiling over, but the police did not care. One sneered, "Wrong person. How could we get it wrong? This kid is a prime suspect in 3 murders. We have to drag him to justice right now. You people do not look like ordinary citizens. Why are you all trying to block police duty? You all want a trip to the station. What is the problem? You cannot just arrest people without proof," Director Mercer yelled furiously. "Arbitrarily, my foot. These old geezers seriously dare to obstruct official police business. You realize that is completely illegal. What are you idiots waiting for? Cuff them all and drag them to the station." Over a dozen armed officers rushed forward, shoving the elite academicians aside, charging straight at Kalin, their blood boiled, fiery tempers flaring. They could not accept these ignorant fools blindly trying to arrest our MC, a literal national treasure of Vidia. Amidst the chaos, Kalin finally spoke up. "Stop it, all of you." As soon as he spoke, everyone froze, all eyes locking onto him. Kalin glared at the corrupt cops and issued a freezing warning. "I strongly advise you to be careful. If you hurt anyone here, 100 lives will not be enough to pay." He looked them dead in the eyes. "You want to arrest me? Fine, I will go with you, no big deal." Director Mercer panicked and tried to stop him. "Commander Vance, you cannot let them take you. You are an absolute pillar of the Vidian Republic. They actually dare to treat you like some common criminal. The sheer nerve." Kalin glanced at the arrogant police officers, then gave Mercer a calm smile. "Director, some people just will not shed tears until they see the coffin. Do not worry, I will be fine. I actually want to see what the mastermind behind them thinks they can do." Hearing his plan, the VIPs stopped resisting. These guys were shrewd old foxes and immediately understood Kalin's intentions. Mercer looked worried, "But you and I know Kalin was the youngest genius scientist in Vidian history, probably the whole world, having made insane contributions to the country. Yet right now, he was being treated exactly like a wanted criminal. This was an absolute insult to the Vidian Republic. If anything happened to him, it would be an apocalyptic loss for the entire nation." Kalin nodded and an officer violently handcuffed him. These cops were absolutely ecstatic, already dreaming about that fat cash bounty. 15 minutes later, right at the entrance of the Akalin Security Bureau, Chief Inspector Jarek stepped out of his sleek car and literally sprinted inside, giddy as a kid. Nobody knew how insanely thrilled he felt getting the call from his goons. "Kayn Vance is finally in my grasp. As long as our MC was locked up, everything else would be a breeze." Bursting into the station, Jarek breezed right past the angry VIPs, totally ignoring them, deadlocking his greedy eyes straight onto Kalin, the youngest guy there. "Kayn Vance, haha," he laughed loudly, confirming his target's identity with absolute manic excitement. "You little punk, you ran, but I finally caught you. Haha." Kalin just closed his eyes, not even bothering to reply, completely ignoring him. Stick with me, this arrogant chief is standing right before him. Jarek makes a quick call. The Thorne family butler answers on the other end. Chief. Jarek, did you finally catch him? Jarek nods like crazy. Got him. He is at the station right now. Lucius Thorne's heavy, booming voice echoes straight through the line. Since you caught our guy, do not waste time. Chief Jarek, you know what you have to do, right? Obviously. Rest assured, sir, it is done. Jarek hangs up, shooting Kalin a dead, cold glare. Zero panic on his face right now. The guy is practically beaming. Meanwhile, over at the massive Thorne family mansion, a man in a wrinkly suit sprints into the villa. He looks completely wrecked. Yep, that is Victor Vane crashing the Thorne mansion. The second he walks in, he yells out, Patriarch Thorne, Patriarch Thorne, Victor Vane reporting for duty. Trust me, I will firmly stand with the Thorne family. Hearing that desperate voice, Lucius Thorne just smiles mockingly and turns to Butler Chadwick. Enough from him. Bring Patriarch Sterling. Inside, Butler Chadwick nods and walks off. Victor Vane rushes into the room, his fancy shirt totally drenched in sweat. Seeing Lucius Thorne, the guy basically starts crying. Oh. Patriarch Thorne, finally I get an audience. You have no idea. I was absolutely supposed to arrive way earlier, but armored vehicles totally blocked the road. I am so sorry to keep you waiting. Lucius sneers, talking with lazy arrogance. Boss Vane, didn't you warn the others? Are you seriously the only guy who showed up? Victor Vane freezes. He didn't know if the rest had arrived yet. Back at that conference hall, he was so terrified. His only thought was sprinting here fast. Nothing else mattered to him. He certainly didn't dare tell Lucius he was hanging with the other elites, only deciding to show up after that threatening call, admitting that would mean literal death, so he stammers. Patriarch Thorne, I am not totally sure about that, but if they are smart, they will absolutely show up. Right as he says that, massive chaos erupts outside. 9 guys sweating buckets and looking completely ragged pour into the room, and right behind them comes a massive crowd, led by Butler Chadwick, the elite top brass of the Sterling family walks in. Crazy fact, this mansion now holds over 80% of the biggest business tycoons in Akalin. Lucius Thorne laughs out loud. Clearly, everyone is pretty smart. Since you are here, we are one family, and family does not need to hide secrets. Let me tell you the absolute truth. Kayn Vance was just arrested by the Security Bureau. He killed 3 people, totally enough for a solid conviction. Right now, Chief Jarek is personally interrogating him. That punk Kayn Vance is truly no match for the mighty Thorne family. Hearing this news, the tycoons sigh in major relief. Secretly thanking their lucky stars they arrived in time. A second slower and they would be total dead meat. Thankfully, none of them trusted that wild kid. Otherwise, who knows how badly they would have died. Kalin Vance is an idiot, daring to challenge the Thorne family. Everyone immediately starts sucking up hard. Since they chose the Thorne side, they have to lick these boots with maximum effort. Only if the Thorne family stays happy will they actually survive this mess. Destroying these guys is as easy as flipping a hand for the Thorne Empire. The tycoons are absolutely terrified. They knew Kalin's arrest was only a matter of time, taking 3 lives at once. Colossal nerve. Offending the Thorne family is just unforgivable. Who gave him the guts to challenge the Thorne Empire? Total humiliation for himself. The guy is probably crying in the station right now. Patriarch Thorne's tactics are truly next level. Going forward, we really need to learn from you, the wealthy tycoons. Their bootlicking skills, masterful. They completely abandoned whatever dignity they had right out the window. Elites, please. Facing Lucius Thorne, what right did they have to demand respect? If he ordered them to die, they died. If he let them live, they lived. They had to suck up hard just to survive tomorrow. Honestly, despite looking utterly pathetic, survival came first. Lucius leaned back in his plush chair, watching the pathetic display with a smug smirk. Playing an emperor holding the power of life and death, it made him absolutely ecstatic. Still, he knew it wasn't time to celebrate just yet. He stood up, scanned the trembling crowd, and barked, Since you're all here, let's talk business. I'm giving you exactly 30 minutes. Every single one of you will write a formal confession against him. Think hard about his crimes. Whoever writes the best fake report gets a reward. Those exact words made everyone freeze up. Lucius was basically forcing them onto his war chariot, testing their loyalty while stacking fake charges onto Kalin. Absolutely. A master play. Even if they hated it, nobody dared to fight back. After all, our guy was already captured. They had zero to worry about. Over in the Thorne mansion, you and I can see Kalin is basically doomed. I mean, could he even escape this mess? One tycoon eagerly threw his hand up. I'll write a complaint. My nephew's third grand uncle over in the Rusty Nail district was brutally beaten to death by Kayn Vance. I'm suing him. The other tycoons looked totally confused. Director Niles, why don't I remember you having that relative? What? I have tons of relatives. Do you know all of them? Director Niles grabbed his chest, faking absolute heartbreak. Anyway, one of the victims is my nephew's third grand uncle. Kalin Vance is a total animal. Suddenly, another tycoon got visibly angry. Well, if you say that, the other dead guy is my grandma's youngest uncle. Wait, no, it's my own son. They started arguing loudly, desperately fighting for credit by pinning fake crimes on Kalin. Meanwhile, Alden Sterling, head of the Sterling family, had been sitting quiet. Suddenly, his eyes lit right up. He turned to Butler Chadwick. Speaking of crimes, our family actually has a perfectly solid one. Uncle Silas Sterling snorted coldly, his heart just full of absolute disgust. Even as part of the Sterling family, he felt his older brother was totally ruthless. Watch this, because you and I won't believe what Alden tries. Butler Chadwick answered coldly. Patriarch Sterling, if you have an idea, speak up. Alden smiled smugly. Butler Chadwick, 6 years ago, my daughter went completely missing for half a month. When she came back, she was pregnant. At that time, she was with Kalin Vance. I'm claiming she was assaulted by him. I'll sue him for everything. The evidence is clear as day. He won't be able to deny it at all. Having said that, Alden's face absolutely beamed. He was insanely proud of his sick idea. Uncle Silas turned completely grim. He was literally trembling. He couldn't believe his own flesh and blood brother would sacrifice his biological daughter like this. Did the guy really lack a single shred of human decency? But Butler Chadwick just sneered, clapping for him. Good idea. Absolutely brilliant. Patriarch Sterling, you are truly a man destined for greatness. Uncle Silas looked at his brother, feeling completely sickened, staring at the greedy tycoons around him. He just felt totally dizzy. He just wanted to escape this disgusting room immediately. Meanwhile, inside the Akalone Security Bureau, a voice echoed. Kalin Vance, we've reached this point and you still think you can escape? Don't be an idiot. Let's see how long you stay. Stubborn, you little brat. You seriously have no idea who you're messing with right now. Jarek's expression is absolutely pitch black. It looks like water could drip right off his face. A subordinate steps up, looking totally stressed. Chief, this guy refuses to break. His lips are sealed tight. What's our play here? Jarek just sneers. His skin looks soft enough. If he won't talk, I've got methods. Bring out the chilly water. Give him 30 minutes. Break him until he talks, but make sure you don't leave any marks behind. The lackey nods and scrambles off. Meanwhile, over at a high-level office in Zenith, are you actually serious? They all got arrested. The middle-aged boss behind the desk just glares, eyes bulging out, practically radiating pure murderous rage. His guy is completely panicking. Sir, according to the latest intel, Minister Trenton, Commander Vance, and all those top-tier academic VIPs were just taken in by the Akalone Security Bureau. The entire room plunges into dead silence. The chief suddenly jumps to his feet, breathing heavy, his pupils shrinking in shock. Then bam, his face goes completely pale, stumbling backward. The lackey freaks out and rushes to catch him, but the boss violently shoves him away, roaring, "Did I hear that right? A pathetic local security bureau dares to arrest a national scholar, dares to lock up a grand general. Are they actually out of their Minds, who gave them the authority? Where are the armed police stationed down in Akwalin? Where are the special ops? What about the Akwalin Provincial Police Department? Where the hell is everybody? The subordinate drops his head, taking a sharp, terrified breath, totally afraid to speak. He's never seen the chief this absolutely furious. The boss isn't done. Right, where are the Crimson Howlers from the northwest? Where are those 5,000 soldiers right now? Speak, the guy hurriedly. Answers, latest reports say the Crimson Howlers just touched down in Akwalin, but they haven't linked up with Commander Vance yet. The chief absolutely explodes. Trash, a bunch of useless garbage. Whenever we need them, they completely drop the ball. Call the head of the Northwest Military Region right now. If a single one of those VIPs gets a scratch, I'll end him myself. Call the Akwalin Provincial Department, give it to them straight. Fix this immediately. If anyone gets hurt, they're spending the rest of their miserable lives behind bars. Go. Yes, chief. The subordinate nods furiously like a scared bird and bolts right out of the room. Now watch this. Outside, he realizes the top brass already got the news, ministers, chairmen, every single official. They are all in an absolute earth-shattering rage. This is a massive earthquake, the guy mutters, face pale as paper, sprinting to send out the orders. Meanwhile, over at the Akwalin airport, the main manager is looking completely stressed out. He just got word that another chopper is about to touch down, and this time, it's a heavy-duty combat helicopter. He is shaking. Today, this airport has already welcomed way too many terrifying VIPs, keeping him totally on edge all day long, and right when he finally calms down, another heavy hitter shows up. Who is the big boss this time? He's sweating bullets. We already had legends from the Science Alliance and Grand Generals. Who else is coming? Get ready for this. A few minutes later, he hits the runway. Jumping out of the car, he immediately sprints straight toward the landing zone. Luckily, he makes it right on time, because looking up, he sees a heavily armed combat chopper touches down. Approaching it, he spots the fuselage rocking a massive, bloodthirsty wolf's head. That emblem alone makes him shiver. Being a military nut, he instantly recognizes that red wolf, the legendary symbol of the Northwest's Crimson Howlers. Get this, you and I are looking at the Howler Special Ops Chopper, the absolute elite of the entire Legion. Every single guy on this squad, a literal war god forged in bloody, real-world combat. The airport manager is practically shaking now, legs totally turning to jelly. They're definitely hunting for Commander Vance, but our guy already left the airport. He steps up to warn them, but barely 2 paces in, he sees those elite Spec Ops soldiers who just hopped off climb straight back inside. To his absolute shock, the helicopter blasts off again, inside the Howler. Operatives look absolutely furious, faces pitch black. Through their comms, a raging voice explodes. Commander Vex, how the hell are you running things? Is this how you protect your target? Commander Vance and every single one of those national treasures were just arrested. Commander Vex, the leader of this elite squad, drops his head, his voice dripping with pure guilt. It's our fault for failing you. We are deploying right now to secure the safety of Commander Vance and the others. Please rest assured. Rest assured, are you kidding? How can I relax if you're even a second too late? What if they get hurt? National scholars and legendary generals getting locked up on their first day in Akwalin. Absolute, unprecedented humiliation. Zenith just dropped a hard ultimatum. Rescue them immediately. If anyone gets a scratch, I'm taking all your heads. The comms go dead. Vex tightly clenches his fists, his face dark as pure night. This is open rebellion. Who gave them the nerve to arrest a scholar? To handcuff a grand general? Some pathetic security bureau is acting this recklessly. Do they think the Vidian Republic's laws are just a joke? Every other Spec Ops soldier bows their head, eaten alive by anger and heavy guilt. If they had just landed sooner, this disaster wouldn't have happened. If Commander Vance and those elite scholars suffer even a scratch, they'll regret it until their dying breath. Right now, they absolutely loathe the Akwalin Security Bureau. Nobody chief inspector actually dared to issue a warrant for Vidia's ultimate, peerless scholar. Daring to lock up elites and grand generals, they're treating Vidian law like total trash. Commander Vex suddenly shoots to his feet and roars, "Today's mess is a stain on the Howler Special Ops. Move out, save them, take back our bloody honor." Meanwhile, in the Rusty Nail District, Captain Dallas's face goes completely ghost white. He just got the insane news. Commander Vance was arrested by the local security bureau, all the senior academy elites, handcuffed. Oh my god. What are those idiots thinking? You and I know they're dead meat. Dallas looks like his soul left his body. He just told the commander's wife Vance was fine. Yet moments after he leaves, our guy gets locked up. Suddenly, a furious voice screams through his phone, "Where is the station's military force? Breach that security bureau and rescue them right now. If Scholar Vance takes even a scratch, every single one of you is totally finished." Click. The call drops, but Dallas stays totally frozen in place. Pure, unadulterated panic washing right over his face. He's drowning in regret. If he had just stayed right by Vance's side. If they stayed close, this never happens. Those security bureau punks messed up. Seriously, who gave them the guts? Do they even realize the absolute catastrophe they just caused? Captain Dallas knows the sky over Akalin is about to shatter. Anyone harming Commander Vance is dead meat. Then, boom, Alice Sterling drops to the floor. Completely dizzy, she collapses onto her knees. Captain Dallas completely panics. He rushes to support her. Seeing Alice so pale, his guilt just skyrockets. This is totally his fault. She trembles, clutching Pip and sobbing uncontrollably. "Dallas, tell me what happened to Kalin. Where is he, even from a distance?" She overheard the crazy situation. Just thinking about it makes her hug Pip tight, crying in silence. It breaks your heart. She finally reunited with Vance, the husband she waited years for. Now he is in grave danger. She truly hates losing him again. If he dies, she shatters completely, seeing her mother crying. Pip instantly bursts into tears too, but this sweet little girl is incredibly understanding. Crying, she gently comforts her mother. "Mommy, trust Daddy, he is going to be fine. Daddy is super amazing. He will definitely be safe. Please stop crying, Mommy. Daddy would feel so sad." Pip opens those big, sparkling eyes, looking straight at Captain Dallas while sniffling. "Uncle Dallas, where is my daddy? I want him back." She wails louder, which honestly makes Dallas feel even more furious and guilty. He feels totally ashamed for letting our main guy, Commander Vance, get arrested right under his nose. He betrayed the trust of Vance and their whole country. His soldiers stand behind him, absolutely enraged. Eyes glowing blood red. They just want to raid the security bureau right now and teach those arrogant bastards a brutal lesson. Looking down at adorable Pip, Dallas gets a dead serious look. "Pip, Uncle promises to bring your daddy back safe and sound." "Okay." He stands up, roaring at his stunned squad. "Why are you just standing there? Check your gear. We are marching on the security bureau immediately." Meanwhile, inside the Akalin Security Bureau, in a dark corner, Minister Trenton is currently getting restrained by two dirty cops. He is strung up on an interrogation rack, feet dangling in the air. One arrogant officer barks, still refusing to talk. "I am about to bust out the torture tools. Just sign this fake confession and make things easy." But Minister Trenton keeps his face cold as ice. Not a single word escapes his mouth. "Make him sign." "Yeah, right." In your absolute dreams. Seeing his stubborn silence, the cop explodes. "Fine, you want to play hardball, right?" Nearby, a few other officers whisper quietly. "This guy looks familiar. I swear I have seen him somewhere." "Yeah, same here, but there is no way, but you and I know who he is." Suddenly, General Thorne, the legendary Guardian of the North, gets dragged into the courtyard, battered, completely bruised, his hands totally cuffed. Seeing Minister Trenton strung up like fresh meat, the old general turns pitch black with rage. He roars, "This is an absolute rebellion. Do you even know what you are doing?" He seriously cannot believe it. These lowly cops actually dare to act this outrageously. the corrupt cop handling General. Thorne just sneers. Talkative, aren't we? Do you think you get a say in here? Shut your stupid mouth. Thorne falls totally silent for a second, then very suddenly turns his head, glaring absolute daggers at the cop. He drops his voice. Kid, do you even know who I am? Do I care? You guys are obviously colluding. Everyone always asks the exact same stupid question. Are you completely out of your mind? Who exactly are you? General Thorne just stares back, absolute ice. I am the Northern Guardian. You get it, I am General Thorne. The cop absolutely loses it, cracking up. You claim you are the legendary General Thorne. You have some serious nerve. Now why would a massive VIP like him ever step foot in this dump? General Thorne stays perfectly calm. Normally I never would, but today I did, so basically all of you are entirely dead meat. The cop just mocks him right back. Look, whether I am doomed or not, who knows, but you are definitely finished right now, so just spill the truth and save yourself some agony. With these torture tools, even the Heavenly Emperor himself would be begging for mercy. All right then, if you really have the nerve, use them on me. General Thorne sneers. He slowly turns toward Minister Trenton. Minister Trenton, did you catch that? These absolute fools actually want to start using real torture on us. Minister Trenton looks furious, his face darker than midnight, and he just stays totally silent. Right then, Chief Inspector Garrick struts straight into the main courtyard. He glares at the two prisoners and snaps, still keeping quiet. Perfect, bring out the tiger chair. We will see if you stay so incredibly stubborn. Sitting on that thing, suddenly, absolute chaos explodes outside. Wait, what is going on out there? Why the racket? Jarek scowls, looking seriously annoyed. One cop starts screaming for everyone to get back. An engine roars, completely smashing the station. Front gate into tiny pieces and charging right in. The vehicle does not stop. It literally rams its way right up to the interrogation room doors. The door flies wide open and a guy bolts out, but after 2 steps, he totally freezes. Jarek just stares at the man. His face is ghost white, his legs literally trembling. Like crazy, a nearby officer yells out, "Who are you? You have some serious nerve. Crashing in here, do you even know where you are? Driving like a complete maniac." Jarek suddenly looks completely horrified. He swings his arm hard and violently slaps that loudmouth cop. You total idiot. Do you realize who you are talking to? He turns to the terrified man, his own lips quivering. Commissioner Lyle, why are you here? You should have warned me so I could properly welcome you. Jarek is shaking. He never expected the absolute top boss of the Kalin Provincial Police, Commissioner Lyle himself, to crash the party, and his own dumb subordinate had just screamed in his face. Hearing Jarek say that name, every cop feels their heart stop. This is Commissioner Lyle. They instantly drop their heads, completely terrified to even look. Especially the guy who just yelled at him. His face totally drains of all color, looking like he might actually pass out. What did I do? I just insulted the director of the entire province. He totally wishes he could slap himself into a literal coma. These cops instantly lose all their arrogant swagger, suddenly looking like dogs with their tails tucked tight, but Commissioner Lyle is completely ignoring all these absolute nobodies. His eyes are dead glued to Minister Trenton, who is strung up on the torture rack, messy hair, torn shirt, bleeding everywhere, and then he slowly looks down at General Thorne on the floor, bruised face, cuffed hands, glaring back with pure murderous intent. Commissioner Lyle is absolutely stunned, shaking like a leaf. He instantly recognizes Minister Trenton and the other guy, even if he did not know him. This man is clearly a colossal VIP. His legs literally turn to pure jelly. He drops to his knees, gasping for air and nearly fainting on the spot. Jarek was completely lost. Why was Commissioner Lyle freaking out so extremely? Watching those two men, you and I can feel the pure dread that washed over him. What on earth was happening? He grabbed some medicine from a nearby officer, trying to hand it to the boss, but he was violently shoved back. Commissioner Lyle, looking completely dead inside, literally crawled forward. He scrambled toward Minister Trenton, screaming, Minister Trenton, I am so sorry. I failed my duty, let me untie you immediately. Trenton just glared coldly. Commissioner Lyle, fantastic job. Your subordinates are absolutely incredible too. Let me be clear, there is zero chance you talk your way out of this mess. You are finished. Commissioner Lyle gulped hard, cold sweat pouring down his face. His brain short-circuited, seeing Commissioner Lyle lose it like this. Jarrett rushed in to stop him. Commissioner Lyle, you cannot let him go, he is not some minister, he is working with the suspect, Kalin Vance. We are still interrogating them. Commissioner Lyle nearly had a complete mental breakdown. I must have committed horrible sins in my past lives to end up with an idiot like you. He turned and brutally slapped Jarek right across the face. He screamed, Jarek, do you have any idea what you did? Open your useless eyes and look at who you just dragged in. Do you even know who they are? He kicked Jarek hard to the floor, frantically untying Minister Trenton in pure panic. Minister, please be careful here. Minister Trenton completely ignored him, just pointing over at General Thorne. Meet the Guardian of the North, General Thorne, the absolute protector of the North. Commissioner Lyle broke into a freezing sweat, paralyzed by pure, unadulterated terror. A 4-star national general, a literal pillar of the entire republic. Jarek, who had just scrambled up, heard that and immediately collapsed again. His brain totally flatlined. Every single cop froze solid, a bone-chilling cold creeping right up their spines. What on earth did we just do? The two officers who cuffed General Thorne were violently shaking, hearts hammering against their chests. They just arrested a 4-star general, suddenly remembering their cocky, mocking words from before. Oh, you are a general, and I am the Sky Emperor. The memory echoed, plunging them into absolute despair, because as we all know, taunting a top military commander always ends great for random cops. Interrogating general, that alone was a guaranteed death sentence. There was literally zero escape now. Meanwhile, Commissioner Lyle scrambled over, carefully helping General Thorne stand. General, are you perfectly fine? The man was terrified to his absolute core. A general, this was god-tier status right here. He frantically dug out the keys to unlock General Thorne's cuffs, but the general just stared coldly. Commissioner Lyle, your men are truly something else. They dare to cuff a minister and assault. General, very bold indeed. You and I could hear the boiling rage. His voice, Commissioner Lyle was drenched, fumbling uselessly, not even daring to make eye contact, keeping his head completely bowed. General Thorne's tone dropped. Why are you just standing there? Academician Vance is actually locked up in this exact building. Hearing that, Commissioner Lyle's vision instantly went pitch black. He totally collapsed to the floor. Wait, Kalin Vance, the youngest academician in Vidian history, sitting in a jail cell. Yeah, it is over. We're about to see pure panic. Lyle never expected to find Kalin here. He whipped his head around. He glared at Jarek with pure, unadulterated murder in his eyes. If looks could really kill, Jarek would be dying 1,000 brutal deaths. Commissioner Lyle sprinted down the interrogation corridor and stopped completely dead, right in front of him, a whole group of white-haired elders, all deep into their 70s or 80s. In 1 second flat, Lyle's face drained of all color. These weren't ordinary grandpas. They were the senior academicians of the Vidian Science Alliance, absolute monuments of science, famous all over the world, and yet, somehow here they were locked up in dark, windowless interrogation rooms. Commissioner Lyle literally couldn't breathe. The only tiny shred of hope was that the academicians seemed totally unharmed and weirdly calm. If a single bad thing happened to them, Lyle's 9 lives wouldn't even cover the execution. He walked further, going deeper, finally reaching the very last room, and there was Kalin, legs crossed, looking absolutely calm. Hearing the heavy footsteps, Kalin just looked up and smiled at Commissioner Lyle. They had never met before, but Lyle instantly recognized him. This was Kalin Vance, the absolute youngest brilliant scientist in the entire Vidian Republic's history. Lyle immediately bowed perfectly in half, sweating with pure guilt. Academician Vance, I I'm Lyell, Akalin's provincial police commissioner. I am so incredibly sorry for making you endure this. He then spun around, roaring down the hallway. Jarek, are you playing dead out there? Bring the keys and open this door immediately. This is sheer treason. Do you have any clue who you just locked up? Meanwhile, out in the courtyard, Jarek heard that furious roar and scrambled up, totally panicking. He looked at Minister Trenton and General Thorne, sinking into absolute crushing despair. He was finally realizing exactly who he arrested. A literal minister, a massive general, and those people. The interrogation rooms, definitely massive VIPs as well, but at this exact moment, whether he freed them or not, he was totally doomed. Suddenly, a desperate light sparked in Jarek's crazy eyes. If he could drag Commissioner Lyell down with him and just force Kalin Vance to confess, he might actually survive this mess. So he ran forward, screaming, Commissioner Lyell, no, we absolutely cannot release them. Jarek was practically crying real tears. Commissioner Lyell, these people are all criminals. Especially Kalin Vance. He murdered 3 people here in Akalin, including the only son of the powerful Thorne family. If we can just force Kalin to confess right now, this whole nightmare ends. You and I know he's delusional. Once Kalin confesses, the Thorne family will back us up. We won't just be safe, we will earn massive promotions. Jarek didn't even look like a chief inspector anymore. He was literally kneeling on the floor like a dog, his hair totally wrecked, just babbling like a lunatic. Lyell was completely stunned. What did this idiot just say? The armed choppers, tanks, and armored vehicles outside were sent by the Thorne family, and not by academician Vance's personal forces. General Thorne couldn't hold it back and just burst out laughing. Commissioner Lyell looked back. The senior academicians and the massive general, they were all laughing at them, their eyes completely full of pure mockery. Lyell wasn't stupid. He instantly understood. Jarek got completely played. Those attack helicopters, tanks, and armored vehicles absolutely did not belong to the Thorne family. The Thornes didn't have a single fraction of that insane military capability. They came for Kalin Vance, unable to take it anymore. Commissioner Lyell glared at Jarek. We can all feel his pain right now. You absolute. What an absolute idiot. Who said those were Thorne family men? You are a chief inspector, for crying out loud, yet you got played like an absolute fool. Jarek stood there dumbfounded. Wait, he was tricked. It was not the Thorne family. Our guy was the one who called them. Jarek gasped in pure horror, looking at Minister Trenton, the politicians, and the general. They were all smiling, but it was that cold smirk you give a crushed bug. This is totally impossible, Jarek thought, absolutely losing his mind. You and I know why. Our MC is barely 20. How does he know these absolute legends? Where did he get this terrifying power? But right before his total mental breakdown, Commissioner Lyell screamed, what are you waiting for? Let them go. Let them go right now. Jarek stumbled to his feet, staring at our guy, who was just sitting there completely unbothered. He shook his head and begged, Commissioner Lyell, if I release them, you must save me. I refuse to die here. Release them immediately. We are out of time. Lyell was on the edge of a total meltdown. Right as they argued back and forth, the massive roar of helicopter blades echoed from the sky. Everyone froze. Chopper was circling directly above. Before it even touched down, heavily armed soldiers fast roped straight into the courtyard. In the blink of an eye, they completely neutralized every single cop in the yard. Pure horror. Just who are these guys? Their combat level is absolute madness. The leader stepped forward, witnessing this insane entrance. Commissioner Lyell stumbled back a few steps and collapsed onto the hard dirt, feeling like his throat was being totally crushed. Jarek stuttered out, they are, before he could even finish. A bone-chilling dread washed completely over him. He stumbled backward and fell pathetically. Everything went down in a flash. These special ops soldiers had not even attacked. Just their overwhelming killing intent was enough to completely break the minds of Lyell and Jarek. The commander completely ignored them. He marched straight over to the interrogation room. He bowed with total respect to our hero. I am Commander Vex of the Crimson. Howler Special Ops Team, under the mighty Northwest Crimson Howlers. Please. Punish me, Commander. Boom. Everyone was totally paralyzed. Minister Trenton's eyes lit up. Makes sense why they are so overpowered. They are Crimson Howler soldiers, and not just regular grunts, the elite Special Ops unit, the ultimate trump card of the entire Legion. He never expected the top brass to deploy this specific legendary strike force. It proved exactly how highly they valued our main character. If it was just him and the General's command, never would have sent this elite squad. The reason was simple. Their security clearance was far too low. Commander Vex continued. Commander, we have failed our duty miserably. Please punish us. The other elite operatives rushed right in, shouting in perfect unison, please punish us. If they had just arrived earlier, this disaster would never have happened. If he had been hurt, 10 of their lives would never be enough to atone. They knew his absolute importance to the mighty Vidian Republic, plus those colossal contributions he made over the years. Jarek, who just barely managed to stand back up, heard Crimson Howler Special Ops Team mentioned and nearly collapsed again. The absolute core legendary force of the Vidian Republic itself. He could not believe it. He stared at our guy, perfectly calm like nothing in the world could ever shake him. Just how insane is his background to remain this totally composed? Are you kidding? The Thorne family could never fight this. Outside the Listen up. Outside the bureau, engines roared. Jarek panicked. Who else is coming? In seconds, the heavy thud of rapid boots approached. It honestly sounded like a literal death knell. He screamed internally. Why are there still more people? What is even happening? Captain Dallas led the local special ops, and a massive wave of heavily armed soldiers stormed right in. The outside guards already tied up and dragged right behind them, and as soon as Dallas rushed in, he frantically searched for Kalin. Seeing him locked inside an interrogation room, the captain went pale. He sprinted over and bowed low. Commander, I deeply apologize. We failed to protect you and let you suffer. He spun around and absolutely roared. Which bastard arrested the commander? After venting his fury, Dallas finally noticed the room. Looking at the 7 fully armed elite operatives, he was completely stunned. The Crimson Howler Special Ops Team, total legends. He never thought he would actually see them in his lifetime, but looking at Kalin, it made perfect sense. After all, this is Kayn Vance. The big bosses naturally had to send their absolute best. Seeing Dallas sweating, Kalin simply smiled. Do not worry. I am perfectly fine. How is the kid? Suddenly, Kalin's eyes turned razor sharp. Dallas did not even dare meet his terrifying gaze, keeping his head bowed. Commander, your wife and child are perfectly safe. Hearing this, Kalin softened. He ordered in a heavy voice, Commander Vex, release the academicians and everyone else. Yes, Commander. Vex stepped right up, grabbed Jarek by the collar and dragged him over. Jarek violently trembled, unable to resist. Sir, you are Chief Jarek, right? Brilliant job. You still have no clue who you arrested. A special ops guy snatched his keys and immediately unlocked the interrogation room doors. As they swung open, 2 soldiers stepped in and carefully helped Academician Mercer outside. The absolute second Mercer appeared. Every single soldier in that courtyard snapped to sharp attention. They shouted unison, greetings, Academician. Jarek's eye twitched so violently in pure horror, but the shocks were far from over. The senior academicians were helped out one by one. Captain Dallas announced sternly, President of the Astrophysics Division of the Vidian Science Alliance, Comrade Betatric Quinn, you have suffered. President of the Astronomical Defense Research Association of the Vidian Science Alliance, Comrade Vidian Vance, you have suffered. With every single name Dallas read out loud, Jarek's frantic heart violently shuddered. The people he arrested were not bodyguards. No, they were the absolute top leaders of Vidian science. At this moment, Jarek finally realized he triggered an apocalyptic disaster. Stick with me here. He finally understood why so many elite soldiers appeared and why the higher-ups deployed such a massive force. even the legendary Crimson Howlers arrived. Commissioner Lyell trembled, practically suffocating in fear, even though he knew. These academicians held insane status. He never expected them to be the supreme. Leaders of the Vidian Science Alliance, literal national treasures, towering scientific monuments, and a tiny chief inspector like Jarek actually dared to arrest them. This was a scandal that would literally shake the heavens. Lyell hated Jarek to his core. We all know he should have just listened. Things wouldn't be this bad. This absolute bastard was dragging him straight down into the abyss, but right now, nobody even cared about him. In mere moments, Captain Dallas had rescued absolutely everyone. Lyell didn't even dare to breathe. Why? Because the people standing right before him were absolute legends of the Vidian Republic. Captain Dallas aggressively grabbed Jarek, growling, "Look closely. Didn't you say you had no idea who they were? Let me introduce you." He points at Minister Trenton. This is the Supreme Minister of Security for the entire Vidian Republic, pointing at General Thorne. This is the Guardian of the North, General Thorne. With every single introduction, Jarek's soul seemed to literally leave his body a little more. He had just arrested a whole batch of the Vidian Republic's most vital elites. Right now, he seriously just wished he was dead. After introducing absolutely everyone, Captain Dallas personally invites our MC out. Now watch this. Jarek's eyes locked onto Kayn. Helicopters, tanks, and elite special ops were all here because of Kayn, a young man in his 20s. Even if he didn't know exactly who Kayn was, he knew his life was totally over. People about to die often just go mad. Knowing there was zero way out, Jarek stopped begging. His eyes turned completely bloodshot as he frantically screamed, "Kayn Vance, who the hell are you? Tell me, who are you?" Captain Dallas brutally kicked him right in the stomach, sending him flying into a corner. Heavily armed soldiers rushed forward and pinned him down fast, but he still screamed like a total maniac. "Kayn Vance, who are you? Tell me." Jarek had completely lost all semblance of a chief inspector. He looked like a rabid dog barking madly. Honestly, Commissioner Lyell was also incredibly curious about Kayn's true identity. As provincial commissioner for years, he had literally never seen a crazy situation like today. But just as he was silently guessing, academician Mercer spoke up. "You want to know exactly who he is? I'll tell you. He is the absolute youngest, most brilliant scientist in the Vidian Republic. He single-handedly propelled Vidian science forward by crazy leaps and bounds, putting us at the absolute top of the world. He is the peerless scholar, the youngest national scholar of the Vidian Republic." The exact moment he finished, the entire courtyard fell completely dead silent. All eyes turned to Kayn, filled with absolute awe and sheer astonishment. The peerless scholar, the youngest national scholar of the Republic. Jarek violently snapped awake, but his panic only intensified. Kayn was way more terrifying than he ever imagined. In his 20s, when normal peers were still in college, Kayn was already a national scholar. Jarek thought of the Thorne family and suddenly saw them as the absolute biggest joke on the planet, daring to mess with an existence like Kayn. Who gave them the balls? He remembered Butler Chadwick's insanely arrogant words, claiming the military helicopters belonged to the Thorne family. Jarek basically regretted everything to his absolute core. Why didn't he just listen to Commissioner Lyell? Why did he blindly trust the Thorne family? If he had actually listened to Lyell, none of this nightmare would have happened. But regret was completely useless now. He screamed, "I was forced. It was all the Thorne family's conspiracy. They made me do it. Lucius Thorne is the real criminal." Captain Dallas replied coldly, "Jarek, up to this point, you're still being so incredibly stubborn. The Thorne family deserves to die, yes, but today's disaster was completely and entirely brought upon by yourself. You were totally given a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Stop wasting your breath." Commander Vex suddenly stepped forward, stomping heavily right on Jarek. He growled, insulting a national scholar. "Yeah, we're about to see the consequences. The death penalty." You and I both know those words made Jarek lose his mind. His brain spun totally out of control. He was an inspector with a brilliant future. Everything was perfect, but just because he arrested our MC, he was now facing execution. He cried out, desperately begging for mercy, blaming the Thorne family. Lucius Thorne was the real criminal, he claimed. Jarek broke down, bursting into heavy tears. If he had only known, he never would have dared. Captain Dallas barked back. Jarek brought this massive disaster entirely upon himself. In the Vidian Republic, arresting a national scholar equals outright treason, a death sentence was practically a mercy. Jarek's lips trembled violently as he crawled forward, tightly hugging Vance's leg. He begged the commander for mercy, claiming total ignorance. He praised Vance as a great man with a massive heart, pleading to be treated like absolute trash and let go. He promised to do absolutely anything just to keep his life. He begged for his cheap life. Then suddenly, a sharp, awful stench of ammonia filled the room. Jarek was so terrified, he literally wet his own pants. Pathetic villain behavior right there. He did not even notice, his desperate eyes glued to Vance, begging endlessly. Commander Vex looked completely disgusted. Why were they standing around? He ordered him dragged away so he wouldn't pollute their eyes. 2 soldiers stepped up and dragged Jarek away. He was done for. Commissioner Lyle's face was pale as a ghost, totally terrified for his own life. He prayed nobody would notice him, but classic bad luck, right? Every single eye in the room, including Vance's, locked dead onto him. Lyle jumped in panic, hurriedly making excuses. He swore to Commander Vance that he wasn't on Jarek's side. He claimed total innocence. Vance just looked at him coldly. Did he order Jarek to make the arrest? Absolutely not. Lyle shook his head frantically, swearing this entire mess had nothing to do with him. After getting the call from Minister Trenton, he had immediately notified Jarek, who could have guessed that bastard would ignore Vance's family and instead scheme with the Thorne family to cause this huge disaster. He pleaded that as commissioner, he only bore responsibility for bad oversight, but he absolutely never gave the order. Lyle was literally so terrified, he looked ready to faint. This was a literal execution offense. Vance gave him a side eye, questioning if he had any ties to the Thorne family. Lyle instantly yelled no, answering immediately. He had never interacted with those Thorne family scumbags. Zero connection whatsoever. He practically begged for an investigation. Seeing his firm resolve, Vance softened his tone. If Commissioner Lyle truly had zero ties to the Thorne family, he could leave. They would handle his terrible job performance later. Vance then turned toward Commander Vex and Dallas, ordering them to immediately deploy the heavily armed choppers straight to the Thorne family mansion. Today, Vance didn't want a single fly escaping that compound alive. The commanders nodded sharply, agreeing without hesitation. Their raw killing intent surged straight to the heavens. Every single person shivered. We all knew the Thorne family was completely, utterly doomed. Commissioner Lyle let out a massive breath, thrilled to be alive. He secretly thanked his lucky stars. Good thing he never dealt with the Thorne family, or he'd be dead meat. Against Commander Vance, the Thorne family was basically nothing. Meanwhile, over at the Thorne mansion itself, today the estate was livelier than ever before. All the elites of Kalin were gathered, partying cheerfully. Lucius Thorne had zero clue. He laughed out loud. Looking at these bowing tycoons, he felt like a literal emperor. In Kalin, his power was absolute, and after today, the Thorne family would control everything. Imagining that glorious future, he was practically buzzing. Then, rumble, heavy helicopter blades echoed across the sky. These courtyard tycoons, not scared at all, they actually held their heads high. They figured this was just the Thorne family's personal helicopters dropping in to protect them. Standing at the mansion, they felt completely untouchable, pure arrogance. But you and I know better. Right then, one guy points up, visibly shaking. Look, what is that? Everyone looks up, eyes completely wide. A massive, pitch-black artillery shell is screaming through the sky, heading right for the mansion. An artillery shell, move, don't just stand there. The whole fancy courtyard instantly turns into a kicked anthill, pure chaos, people are scrambling everywhere. Completely terrified, Patriarch, what is happening? Why is a literal shell dropping on the Thorne family? Butler Chadwick sprints toward the pavilion, screaming his lungs out. Right through the panic, that shell finally hits, boom, an earth-shattering blast completely rocks the heavens. The mansion quakes like a massive earthquake, but get this, it didn't hit the courtyard, it slammed down just outside the main gate, an absolute warning. Shot, pure raw intimidation. Staring at that smoking crater, everyone is absolutely frozen. If that thing hit the courtyard, instant game over for everyone. They just can't process it. This is the Thorne family. Who dares shoot at them? Patriarch Thorne, what the heck is going on? Everyone stares at Lucius Thorne, but honestly, Lucius is just as completely lost as them. He just stares at the giant crater outside, brain totally glitching out on what's happening. Someone actually fired heavy artillery at the untouchable Thorne family. The absolute disrespect. But right as his rage peaks, a massive mechanical rumble shakes the bottom of the mountain. Now what? Another earthquake? Seriously, what's going on? The whole estate is losing its mind. Nobody can process these insane back-to-back events fast enough. They look down the mountain and their faces immediately twist into absolute nightmare fuel. Somebody just screams. Another starts crying. Dozens of heavy tanks and hundreds of armored vehicles are rolling aggressively up the mountain. These guys aren't playing around, radiating a truly suffocating killing intent. What is the actual plan here? Didn't you claim these guys worked for Minister Huxley? Why drop a literal bomb on us? What are those iron beasts about to do? His wife screams, shaking violently. Lucius, do something. Call Minister Huxley right now. High rollers like Boss Victor Vane are completely paralyzed. Vane's heart is hammering as he stutters. Patriarch Thorne, what is your contact saying? Wait, you haven't even confirmed if the choppers and heavy tanks were actually sent by the Thorne family. This is seriously not the time to joke around. Everyone is panicking. Lucius snaps at Victor Vane, you actually dare question the Thorne family's absolute power? Look, there has to be huge misunderstanding here. Let me make a call. But despite looking calm, a massive wave of dread is eating him alive. Watching Lucius finally make that call, the tycoons turn ghost white. Their brains are completely scrambling. As it rings, Lucius's his mind raced. Was this Kalin Vance's doing? No way. Absolutely impossible. Some 20-something kid having this much military power? Zero chance. He needed to believe this massive flex was his older brother's doing, the guy who married into the untouchable Huxley family, but his hands trembled violently as the crowd watched. The call finally connected. A voice picked up, and Lucius practically begged, "Brother, hundreds of armed helicopters just showed up, and a whole fleet of armored vehicles, even a tank battalion rolled into Akalin. You called them in, right? It has to be you." Total silence on the line. The local elites held their breath. Sweating bullets, a full minute ticked by, nothing but dead air. Lucius's eye twitched like crazy. Panicking, he pushed, "Brother, say something, it's you're back up, right?" Finally, his brother snapped back, "Lucius, have you lost your mind completely?" Boom, that hit the room like a thunderbolt. Everyone was paralyzed. You and I both know what this means, right? It was all fake. Everything, those choppers, the tanks, the special ops teams, they did not belong to the Thorne family. They were never here to help. They came to completely wipe out the Thorne family. Brother, exactly what are you saying? Lucius literally couldn't breathe. It wasn't his brother's army at all. Pure terror hit him. What do we do? The Thorne family is completely doomed this time. Right now, we have hundreds of military helicopters locking down our mansion. A literal artillery shell just hit us. We are dead. The Thorne family is done. What? His brother's voice totally cracked with panic. Artillery shells dropping on your heads. You absolute idiot. I told you to lay low, to show some respect. You never listen, and now look at this mess. You provoked a titan you should never have crossed. You are burying the entire Thorne family and taking me down too, Lucius stayed totally silent, taking the brutal scolding, his entire body shaking. Non-stop, he finally stammered out, "Brother, I swear I will behave from now on. But we do not have time for this. You have to save us. Please save me. Your godfather is the deputy commander of the East Sea military base. Go beg him for backup. I will pay whatever it takes. Brother, the clock is ticking. You have Thorne blood too. You cannot just sit there and watch us get slaughtered." Right, the furious voice exploded through the phone. Now you beg for help. What did I say earlier? Call my godfather. Are you completely out of your mind? It is not that simple. Look outside. Fighter jets, heavy tanks. What is a provincial commander supposed to do against that? You want him to commit suicide attacking a national army? Who the hell do you think we are? Is everyone as stupid as you? That massive reality check completely shattered Lucius. His older brother was dead right. Stick with me here. Against these heavy hitters, the Thorne family was just a bug. Nobody would risk angering an absolute god for their sake, even if his brothers godfather tried to help. It would be useless. This was heaven-defying authority, power that could blot out the sun. The Thorne family was absolutely nothing here. It finally clicked for Lucius. His family was completely doomed. Nobody could save them now. The reality setting in made his blood run cold. Out of desperation, he shrieked like a total madman. Brother, what do we do? Is there really no way out? His brother barked back. You ask me now. Run, drop everything behind, grab absolutely nothing. Get to Zenith City. I will figure it out. Lucius stood total daze. It's too late. We cannot run. Right as he spoke, a massive rumble shook the entire mansion to its core. What is wrong, Lucius? Why can't you run? Tell me. His brother's voice sounded completely frantic, but Lucius stayed silent. His eyes were dead locked on the scene outside. Two heavy tanks had already smashed right into the courtyard. Dozens more had completely surrounded the whole perimeter. The killing intent was completely suffocating. The mansion was thrown into pure chaos. Stick with me here. Nobody had ever witnessed madness like this. Faces went pale. People scrambled everywhere. The courtyard was completely wrecked. Terrified screams and desperate cries echoed endlessly. Alden Sterling, patriarch of the Sterling family, just stared straight at the tanks, completely dumbfounded and absolutely terrified. Why are there so many military tanks? Who exactly did the Thorne family piss off to trigger an actual war? This is just pure insanity. He shook violently, realizing he made a massive mistake, right as he was panicking. The deafening roar of helicopters echoed above. Alden looked up, his eyes shrinking in pure terror. Countless armed paratroopers were literally dropping from the sky like a massive swarm of bees diving straight down. Alden's face lost all its color. He shook violently. Crazy, this is absolute madness. Lucius Thorne was also drowning in utter despair. Helicopters and tanks were not enough. Now armed paratroopers too. What do we do? His wife dropped right beside him, screaming out, the Thorne family is completely finished. Lucius, say something, we have to run. But Lucius said nothing. He just slumped to the ground, laughing a totally broken, hollow laugh. Planes in the sky, heavy tanks on the ground. And now armed troops. The entire estate was sealed totally shut. Where exactly could they even go? He stared at the absolute madness around him. His wife, the once proud matriarch of the Thorne family, was literally rolling on the ground, cursing wildly. The powerful elites, so incredibly arrogant just minutes ago, were now on their knees, begging for mercy, hiding like rats, or literally passing out from pure fear. The high society of Kalin were basically just defenseless lambs waiting for the slaughter. The grand Thorne mansion was in total ruins. Desperate pleas echoed everywhere. Everyone was losing their minds. Then bang. Bang bang, 3 sharp gunshots pierced the air. The whole courtyard went completely silent. No one dared to even breathe. A commanding officer marched forward and barked, everyone, hands behind your heads and kneel down. Anyone who moves gets a bullet. Boss Victor Vane, totally losing it in a completely bloodshot frenzy, jumped straight up and pointed at the officer, screaming, you bastard, do you have a death wish? Do you even know Whose territory this is? This is Akalin. Akalin. He grabbed a heavy pot and charged straight at the officer. Bang! A single deafening gunshot echoed, completely shocking everyone. The officer shot Victor Vane dead right on the spot, zero hesitation. The boss's heavy body hit the floor, his eyes wide open, completely unable to process that he had just been shot. The entire crowd gasped hard. Nobody actually expected this military officer to shoot. To kill with absolute zero hesitation. Pure terror spread like wildfire. Some people were literally peeing their pants from the panic. With heavy artillery outside, what is one single gunshot in comparison? Staring right at Victor Vane's bleeding corpse, Alden Sterling shook violently, but definitely not out of pity. He was terrified for himself. Will I get shot exactly like Victor Vane? He grew completely frantic, feeling a warm wetness trickling down his leg. Yep, he absolutely wet his pants too. Alden screamed out, "Officer, I am innocent. I lead the powerful Sterling family. This Thorne family business honestly has absolutely zero to do with me. Lucius Thorne forced me here. He is an absolute." He looked completely unhinged, face twisted with pure resentment. He pointed straight at Lucius. The elites just stared at Alden, absolutely stunned by this shameless display. You and I both know the classic move, throw your ally under the bus. A flawless execution. Lucius, barely managing to gather his scattered wits, just glared. His expression turned ice cold. This absolute dog really dared to betray him. The audacity. Meanwhile, the terrified tycoons were begging Alden to just shut up. Didn't this idiot just see Victor get blasted? Now they were terrified he'd drag them all down. But amidst the chaos, the leading officer actually looked over. So you're the big boss of the Sterling family. Rumor has it that the commander's wife shares that exact name. Are you by any chance the madam's father? A second officer frowned, lowering his voice quickly. The boss ordered everyone in the Thorne mansion wiped out, but given this guy's identity, the other officer shook his head. Look, special situations demand special handling. Just pretend he doesn't even exist. The lead officer suddenly barked at him to stand up. Alden flinched, his face draining of color. Was he about to be executed? The surrounding elites felt their hearts run cold. His big mouth definitely got him killed. They just prayed they weren't implicated too. Alden slowly stood up in pure despair, squeezing his eyes tightly shut. The officer continued, asking if anyone else from the Sterling family was present. Everyone from the family, stand up. The elites gasped in absolute horror. The Sterlings were doomed. Not just Alden, the whole bloodline was getting wiped. This total idiot doomed his entire clan. Everyone immediately stared at Uncle Silas and the family butler. People were looking at them like dead men walking under those stares. The two trembled violently as they stood, entirely convinced this was the end. But then the officer just glared at the three of them and barked out, "What are you standing around for? Get the hell out." The courtyard went silent. The three Sterlings stood there completely bewildered, failing to process reality. He told them to leave. Seeing them frozen like statues, the officer roared again. "What are you waiting for? You want to die instead? No, we're leaving right now." Alden screamed in absolute panic, his face completely relaxing as pure sheer ecstasy washed over him. "Wait, you and I didn't mishear that." The officer was actually letting them walk. Uncle Silas and the butler finally snapped to reality. They fully expected to catch a bullet, but they were free, all three of them. Frantically bolted toward the mansion gates. Their legs were trembling so horribly. The butler tripped multiple times. Uncle Silas, despite the overwhelming terror, managed to keep a tiny bit of composure. He paused and actually thanked the leading officer. Everyone else in the courtyard was completely paralyzed. It wasn't until those three figures vanished into the distance that the crowd finally woke up. They really just walked away. The tycoons suddenly realized the military was only targeting the Thorne family. If they proved they had zero ties, they might actually survive. The Callahan patriarch instantly copied the exact same survival tactic, screaming out loudly, "Officer, I run the Callahan family. We have absolutely zero connections to the Thorne family. They forced me to come here tonight. Please investigate the truth, old man. Tobias desperately chimed in. Me too. My family only runs hotels. We are completely honest citizens. The Thorne family dragged me here against my will. Let's watch this madness. They started wailing, screaming over each other to prove they had zero connection to the Thorne family. Honestly, they sounded like miserable pigs getting slaughtered. Bang! The officer fired straight into the air and roared, "Kneel down right now. One more word gets you a bullet." That deafening gunshot made every single person freeze in absolute panic, but also pure confusion. Why did walking away work for the Sterling family and not us? We proved we are totally clean here. Meanwhile, outside the massive gates, Alden Sterling slumped right down, gasping for air. The guy felt like he just barely cheated death. He started laughing like an absolute maniac with tears in his eyes. The Sterling butler collapsed right next to him, crying hard. "Patriarch, we actually made it. It is so good to be alive. The heavens saved us." "No, wait. It is all thanks to your sheer brilliance that saved us." He practically worshipped the man. "Those other nobles are not dumb. They will escape soon. Too, boss, you are a total savior to them. They will live thanks to your insane wisdom." With the Thorne family crushed, Kalin will belong completely to the Sterling family. Alden was ecstatic. "You are right. They lived because of me." He laughed his head off, face completely glowing. But right in that exact second, a gunshot echoed from inside the mansion. All three jumped, hearts hammering hard. Wait, why? Did someone else just get shot? Weren't they letting everyone go? Alden was terrified and totally lost. Uncle Silas looked cold as ice. "None of them are leaving. Why? Do you think we were the only lucky ones to walk out alive?" He stared at Alden like he was looking at an absolute moron, grinding his teeth. "You still seriously ask why we survived, you fool?" Silas was boiling with rage because Alden had absolutely zero clue who actually saved his pathetic life. "The only reason you are breathing is because of that same daughter you cut ties with, the girl you threw away like trash. Sterling, and yet you honestly think your genius brain saved you, you blind idiot." But despite being so furious, Silas felt completely powerless here. He glared at Alden and muttered, "Forget it, let us just leave." He refused to waste another single breath. The butler suddenly lit up. "Oh, I get it now." Standing there by the gates, his eyes were sparkling. "Boss, I just figured it out. Out of all those families inside, only our Sterling family had zero business deals with the mighty Thorne clan, and the Thorne family brought down a massive disaster today. Anyone holding even the tiniest connection is dead meat. Only our Sterling family is completely clean." Alden practically beamed. "You are so right. Before, I tried to partner with those Thorne snobs, but they rejected us. Now get this, I never expected that to be the exact thing that saved our lives. The heavens are watching us." He cackled like crazy, so relieved he never signed with them. He smirked coldly. "That Thorne family is about to be completely erased. Moving forward, Kalin is just a giant playground for the Sterling Empire, but this is all because of that little Thorne brat. If he never touched my daughter, I never would have suffered this nightmare. That is pure karma. Seriously, karma." The more Alden thought about it, the more furious he became, cursing loudly. "I already disowned that girl, yet she still dragged me straight into hell. If it was not for her, I would not have almost died today." He turned to his butler, growling violently. "Later, head over to the security bureau and drag those two right back. Today, I am going to teach them a brutal lesson. Even that little kid is not getting spared." The butler eagerly agreed. "Yes, absolutely, boss, but that is just a minor issue. You and I know the Thorne family is totally doomed, and those elites are finished too. This is a massive, golden opportunity for the Sterling family over Kalin. Nobody else can compete." But right as the butler was eagerly bragging about this glorious future, a deafening roar of helicopter engines suddenly split the air. Boom! A heavy armed chopper headed straight for the mansion. The hull flashed a blazing red wolf emblem. Behind it, thousands of heavily armed soldiers. marched with absolutely terrifying momentum, heading straight for their front door. Alden's eyes practically bugged out of his skull. Pure insanity. Why are there even more? Soldiers, the butler froze in terror. Patriarch, who on earth did the Thorne family just piss off? The military mobilized thousands of hardcore troops like this. It has to be a top-tier VIP from Zenith. The Thorne family is absolutely dead meat, zero doubt about it. Alden panicked hard. What are you standing there? For a move, he stumbled up and sprinted for his life, down at the base of the mountain. Watching this massive army march upward, old man Tobias stammered. What actually happened to the Thorne family? Why is the entire military here? One single family drew thousands of soldiers. He had never witnessed a crazy scene like this before, his words completely jumbling together. Another elite screamed, "This army, how could these guys belong to the Thorne family? Lucius lied to us all. If they aren't here for the Thorns, could they belong to Kalin Vance?" Everyone turned pale, completely unable to accept it. Kalin Vance was just some 20-something kid in there eyes. How could he possibly mobilize thousands of soldiers? What kind of terrifying power was this anyway? Old man Tobias shook his head fast. Stop talking. The Thorne family is totally finished. We cannot stay here. Run before we get caught in the crossfire. Right, move out immediately. The elites nodded, their faces looking absolutely pathetic. Meanwhile, inside the Thorne mansion, the Crimson Howler chopper touched down, kicking up a massive dust cloud. An officer in the courtyard barked attention. The soldiers instantly cleared a wide space. Lucius stared at that red wolf emblem, his pulse pounding wildly. Who is it this time? Kalin's face briefly flashed in his mind, but he instantly brushed it off. Impossible, that kid is barely 20. How could he wield this kind of power? Plus, Chief Garrick already called, saying Kalin Vance was officially arrested and currently being interrogated, so how could it be him? If it wasn't Kalin, then who? Lucius thought hard. The Thorne family grew massive and offended plenty of rivals. Was it because of the crazy disaster his older brother caused? They must have been heavily targeted for a while. Kalin's incident was just the spark ignited by someone hiding in the shadows. Yeah, that has to be it. The chopper settled, dust violently swirling everywhere. You and I are about to see who was actually destroying the Thorne family. Even if he died today, he needed answers. Commander Vex and 6 elite special ops members jumped down, standing respectfully on either side. The whole mansion, from ranking officers to foot soldiers, thousands of people, shouted in terrifying unison, "Greetings, Commander." That absolute heaven-shaking shout made the elite's hearts completely shatter. A literal commander arrived at the Thorne family. What kind of monstrous VIP did they cross? Lucius Thorne, when did you offend a commander? This is fake, right? Tell me it is fake. Say something. We are finished. I am still young. I cannot die. Lucius's wife collapsed, sobbing hysterically. She sobbed uncontrollably. So young, so beautiful. She just became the matriarch of the Thorne family. How could she die now? Lucius completely ignored his panicking wife. Which commander? His mind instantly raced to his son. Did Darius anger the military? But Darius was dead. The military wouldn't just strike this recklessly, right? Lucius figured the Thorne family could still somehow survive this absolute mess, but the very next second he totally froze, staring dead ahead. The guy referred to as the commander stepped out of the chopper. Lucius's pupils shrank in pure horror. This wasn't what he expected at all. A guy in his 20s, younger than his own son, and not just him. Every single elite stood there totally dumbfounded. This kid is the commander. Stick with me. Does the Republic even have commanders this young? All these planes, tanks and armed soldiers were mobilized by him. Kalin remained perfectly calm, his gaze swept across the panicked elites, locking dead onto Lucius Thorne. Kalin confidently stepped forward, his voice booming. "Patriarch Thorne, we finally meet." Lucius's chest hammered wildly, absolute dread washing over him. That voice was way too familiar. He definitely heard it before. Then it hit him. This was the voice from that warning phone call, the exact same voice. His eyes turned bloodshot as he furiously roared. Kalin Vance, you are Kalin Vance. That scream made the elites jump there. Eyes wide with total shock. This kid is Kalin Vance. Absolutely impossible, wasn't he? Arrested by Chief Jarek for interrogation. Why is he standing here? Everyone was completely mind-blown, their brains basically short-circuiting as they failed to process this insane situation. Before anyone reacted, an officer marched right up, ruthlessly. Slapped Lucius across the face, kicking him hard to the ground, pinning him so he could barely move. The officer viciously barked, "You piece of trash, looking to die. How dare you speak to Commander Vance like that?" Lucius, writhing in pure agony, glared at Kalin with bloodshot eyes. Kalin just stared back, his cold gaze like a judge's filled with absolute pure contempt. He sneered, "Patriarch Thorne, you don't look much like a mighty family head right now. You honestly just look regretful." He lowered his voice into an ice-cold whisper. "Patriarch Thorne, I told you before, if you knelt and apologized, I would let you live, but you were way too arrogant. You treated my warnings like garbage. Are you satisfied with this pathetic ending now, Kalin Vance? I will kill you." Lucius desperately struggled, but he was pinned tight, only able to spit curses. "You murdered my only son, and now you want to destroy the Thorne family." "Yes, I deeply regret it. I regret not killing you immediately." Kalin smirked coldly. "Do wrong and you pay the price. For years, the Thorne family has run rampant across Allan. This is your karma." He turned to Commander Vex, ordering, "Take him away." "Yes, Commander." Vex had literally been waiting for this exact order. He grabbed Lucius, dragging him outside like trash. "Let me go," Lucius wildly screamed, but it was completely useless. "I am the patriarch of the Thorne family. What the hell even are you, Kalin Vance? You will die a horrible death. You will pay. I will kill you." His furious voice faded until it was completely gone. Back in the courtyard, Lucius's wife was sobbing uncontrollably, her face basically a mask of pure terror. The mighty Thorne family was truly finished against a young man with heaven-reaching power like Kalin. We all know their empire crumbled in the blink of an eye. She worked so incredibly hard to become the matriarch, yet now she just lost absolutely everything. In total despair, she closed her eyes, stopped crying, and embraced the endless pure sorrow washed over her. Begging was useless now. Two soldiers grabbed her and dragged her away. "Now watch closely." Our young commander didn't even glance at her. If Lucius Thorne was a mere ant, she wasn't even worth calling trash. Being dragged away, she completely lost it and screamed, "I don't want to die. Commander, I am innocent. You can't do this to me. I am just a woman. I don't know anything." But nobody cared. Not a single eye in the courtyard looked her way. The soldiers just barked coldly, "Shut up and walk. It is over. Everything is over, isn't it?" she muttered, her vacant eyes locked onto the commander. He, young man in his 20s, had killed her son and shattered the Thorne family. Her gaze drifted past him, staring at the courtyard flower beds. Those were her absolute favorite flowers because she loved them. Lucius had hired a gardener to care for them for over 20 years. She watched them bloom for decades and never got bored. You see, back in the day, Lucius wasn't a monster. He was gentle, often giving her gifts. The Thorne family was just a small, ordinary household. Then everything changed when his father died. The second brother betrayed them and joined a faction over in Zenith. The family plummeted and Lucius completely changed. He was no longer gentle, zero patience left. He poured all his raw energy into gaining power. His affection for her turned into constant yelling and scolding. Gradually, thanks to his ruthless efforts, the Thorne family grew strong, becoming the undisputed overlords of Akalin. But he grew incredibly arrogant, treating everyone like dirt beneath his feet. This led directly to today's brutal outcome. A glorious family now shattered into absolute dust like this. "It is all because of you, Huxley. You betrayed us. You made Lucius like this. The Thorne family ended up completely ruined, all because of you. I will kill you," she screamed, her hair a total mess, her shrill voice echoing right through the ruined mansion. The two soldiers coldly dragged her into an armored vehicle, half an Hour later, every single person inside the Thorne mansion had been arrested. The estate was in ruins, looking exactly like a war zone. Captain Dallas marched up and saluted the young leader respectfully. "Commander, the mission is complete, awaiting your orders." The eyes of every single soldier locked onto him, waiting for a command. He said nothing, just quietly gazing toward the north. Captain Dallas was curious, not knowing what the commander was thinking, but he did not dare ask. A few minutes later, he finally spoke in a deep voice. "Withdraw." As the order dropped, the entire mansion buzzed with rapid activity. Helicopters, tanks, and armored vehicles loudly roared as they pulled out. Get this, the mighty Thorne family had completely collapsed. In less than 30 minutes, the news spread across Kalin, sending massive shock waves everywhere. The mighty Thorne family was wiped out. Everyone connected was completely arrested. In less than 30 minutes, the Thorne family, whose vast power seemed to reach the sky, simply vanished. Lucius Thorne's related families and all their shady businesses were uprooted. Stick with me. Kalin shook like a massive earthquake when the citizens heard the wild news. Anyone with evidence of the Thorne family's crimes handed over immediately. Huge cash rewards are waiting. Wait, really? The Thorne family is actually finished? It is completely true. Anyone with solid evidence, hand it over now and get a massive reward. People say the reward money is coming straight from the Thorne families seized assets. The dark era of the Thorne family is over, so what are you waiting for? All of Kalin boiled with pure excitement. Ordinary citizens cheered and danced. You and I know the Thorne family had terrorized this city for years. Their destruction was absolutely the best news ever, handing over evidence of their terrible crimes and getting rewards. People couldn't sit still. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Missing it, a lifetime of regret. Meanwhile, in a secret meeting of elites, the families who avoided the Thorne mansion gathered together. They were sweating nervously, discussing the wild situation. Everyone heard the news outside. Do we hand over the evidence or what? Speak up. Why hesitate now? The Thorne family is completely dead. If we don't hand it over right now, then when? We aren't the Thorne families loyal dogs. The higher-ups won't touch us, one tycoon argued anxiously. Well, not necessarily. Things are escalating fast. At first, I was honestly weighing whether to back the Thorne family or Kalin Vance, who would have thought some terrifying monster would emerge and completely wipe them out in half an hour. If an even stronger power shows up, we are just tiny bugs. The entire room fell dead silent. Handing over the evidence felt like actively inviting disaster, but holding back meant missing the chance to carve up the Thorne family's massive assets, that sweet wealth they had lusted after for years. The Thorne family used to be totally untouchable, but now that they had collapsed, this was a golden opportunity. All eyes turned to Old Man Tobias in the center. Old Tobias, say something. We need your decision. But Old Man Tobias just tapped his cane, staying completely silent. Everyone waited, feeling exactly like they were sitting on burning coals. A dozen seconds later, he was finally about to speak, but was abruptly cut off. Bad news. Look at this quickly. A tycoon with a pale face jumped out of his chair. Look at the latest news. That terrorist might be the exact guy who wiped out the Thorne family. What terrorist? Everyone frantically checked their phones. The entire room was absolutely horrified. The local media was flooded with news about the Thorne family. The incident between our MC and Allara was completely twisted into a false assault accusation, and the annihilation of the Thorne family was branded a brutal terrorist attack. Every single piece of information regarding the Thorne family had been wildly distorted, miles away from the truth. Clearly, someone was manipulating things from behind the scenes. Wait, someone else is jumping into the fray. They want to take down the big boss who destroyed the Thorne family. What incredible power. Looks like that big boss is about to go down too. The news has spread absolutely everywhere. The whole country knows the identity of that big boss is probably going to be exposed really soon. What do we do now? Who is this big boss? Anyway, a tycoon wearing gold-rimmed glasses finally spoke up. I remember the forces that came to Akalin included Vidian Aviation. Could the big boss actually be an academician of the Science Alliance? Everyone frowned hard, because if it was an academician, it would completely make sense. But academicians weren't people they dared to gossip about. Another tycoon trembled. If it is an academician, smearing them online is a literal crime against the heavens. Old man Tobias stood up abruptly and just barked, "Stop talking. Curiosity kills the cat. From now on, no one is allowed to discuss that big boss at the Civ Manor." Meanwhile, after wiping out the Thorne family, he brought Allara and little Pip here to stay temporarily, over on the sofa. Pip was playing with building blocks, looking adorably serious. From inside the bedroom, our MC called out, "Pip, do you want to go out with Daddy tomorrow, Pip?" She jumped up, cheering happily. Our guy poked his head out, smiling. "If you want to go, hurry and help Mommy pack our bags." Pip bolted over, hugging him tight, eyes shining brightly, and asked, "Daddy, tomorrow are we hitting that awesome park you told me about?" Right. Ever since he brought up the park, Pip always remembered it, even dreaming about it. She also remembered his promise, wearing a spacesuit, launching straight into space and sleeping among the stars. He picked her up, laughing. "When we get to the northwest, Daddy will finish the space elevator very soon. When that happens, Pip can go to space." "Thank you, Daddy." Pip happily bounced around the room, her eyes sparkling, face flushed bright red with pure excitement at the thought of flying into space. He smiled and added, "Pip, Daddy remembers your birthday is coming up. On that day, our whole family will go together, okay?" "Yes, yes," Pip cupped his face, her sweet childish voice asking, "So what present is Daddy giving me?" Allara, standing nearby, just laughed and reminded her, "Did you forget Daddy is taking you to space? Isn't that a big enough present?" "That doesn't count." Pip stuck her tongue out, turned to him and said, "Once we're in space, Daddy, can you give me the moon? Do you like the moon?" "Daddy, I love it." Pip loves the moon the most. Allara smiled. "The moon goddess lives there. Daddy is the best daddy in the world. You can do anything." He laughed heartily, feeling absolutely incredible. In the room, Pip danced around, pure happiness overflowing. Watching his daughter, we can feel the weight of those 6 years he never got to see her. He wanted to make up for all that lost time. He wanted Pip to be the happiest girl in the whole world. Allara walked over and gently kissed his cheek. She radiated pure joy, having the man she loved right by her side. This was the feeling of a real family, a loving husband and an adorable daughter. To Allara, as long as the three of them were together, anywhere felt like home. She wanted him by their side forever, but she knew he wasn't just a husband and a father. He was the peerless scholar of the Vidian Republic. He was the literal pillar of the nation. She couldn't afford to be selfish. He belonged to the Vidian Republic. His existence was for the development of the nation. Only when the Vidian Republic was strong could their small family stay protected. Nation first, then home. Allara smiled and said gently, "All right, you two, stop being so clingy. Dinner is finally ready. Let's eat." He smiled, nodded, and led Pip out. But watch this. The second they entered the living room, the TV was absolutely blaring. Is Akalin not part of the Vidian Republic? Such arrogance. This is the Vidian Republic. These terrorists dare to totally disregard the law. Running rampant. Why are they still safe and sound? Where did their weapons come from? Who gave them the audacity? Allara completely froze, turning to the TV. The news was talking about terrorists, but clearly implying it was him. She looked over at him anxiously, but his face was icy cold. Pure killing intent surged. The living room fell dead silent. Suddenly, little Pip's sweet voice broke that heavy tension, mixed with fresh tears. The TV is lying. Daddy isn't a terrorist. Daddy protects Mommy and Pip. Daddy is a good person. He's a real hero. His daughter's words instantly warmed his heart. Pip was right. Her dad was no bad guy. He looked at Pip, recalling Lucius Thorne's final threat before getting dragged away. "I won't let you off. This is his counterattack, fast indeed." He just smirked coldly, not caring in the slightest, and calmly reassured her. Allara, don't worry, these guys are nothing to me. For Vance, as long as the space elevator project succeeded, nothing else mattered. Are you really okay? Allara trusted him, but still worried those cunning enemies would play dirty. Right on cue, his phone rang, checking the caller ID. Vance just smiled. It was Director Mercer, and his voice sounded absolutely frantic. Vance, don't even speak, just turn on the news right now. Vance laughed. Director, you and I both know it's the remaining Thorne family. Just a bunch of desperate clowns. Honestly, don't even stress. Let's see what these fools dare to pull next. Mercer roared back. You're calm, but I am practically about to die of rage. We can't let this slide. The mastermind gets dragged out. These punks have massive guts. Don't worry, Vance. I'm calling for an immediate investigation. We will literally flip the earth to hunt them down. Thank you. Director Vance felt slightly helpless. Truthfully, he didn't care about this drama at all. Just clowns putting on a show. His only real priority was the space elevator project. He was heading back northwest. This whole operation had been delayed way too long. He couldn't wait around. Progress absolutely had to speed up. You're right, no more delays. The brass is pushing us, but having you involved means we are at ease. See you soon. After a quick chat, Vance hung up and turned, gently stroking Ara's hair. You aren't stressing about this anymore, right? I didn't even ask, and Director Mercer is already handling the entire mess. Tomorrow we head for the northwest. Yay, little Pip, hearing the big plan hadn't changed, literally jumped for joy. Vance laughed. Pip, don't celebrate too early. If you oversleep tomorrow, Mommy and Daddy are totally ditching you. Pip panicked and yelled, I'll wake up early. No sleeping in, you have to keep your promise. Vance just smiled, holding out his hand. Come here, pinky promise time. Watching them goof around, Ara was still slightly stunned. She could see that Vance wasn't faking his chill vibe. He genuinely didn't care. Plus, Mercer's angry call proved this scandal wasn't worth the headache. She finally shook her head and walked into the kitchen. If he said everything was fine, why even worry about it? She knew how crazy strong he was. His presence was absolute security. Thinking about that, she smiled, feeling perfectly safe. But meanwhile, over on social media, the news spread fast. You and I are watching the entire Vidian Republic explode. Mainstream news and short video apps were absolutely scrambling for the massive scoop. Everybody saw it. The public outrage was completely insane, leaving the whole country shocked. Search trends shattered every record. Is this actually real? It sounds completely absurd. This is the Vidian Republic, literally the safest place on Earth. How does this even happen? I bet this is 80% fake news. The Vidian Republic wouldn't ever let something this wild happen, but one internet user aggressively insisted it was confirmed. Some anonymous guy in Akalone assaulted a woman and dodged the law for 6 years. Then recently, because of her, he clashed with a major family, brought an armed terrorist squad and wiped out their entire bloodline. Wait, is there video? Armed terrorists? Who the heck is this guy? Even movies aren't this insane. Keep digging. Who exactly is he? Who dares to flex like this in the Vidian Republic? Such a massive bloodbath, and the higher-ups haven't even blinked. That is exactly the weirdest part. The whole internet is exploding, yet the higher-ups remain completely silent. And even crazier, you literally cannot find a single shred of info on. All right, stick with me here. Someone is clearly hiding his tracks. It gets wild fast. The internet is clever, and they quickly figured out the suspect was still roaming free, with all his data completely wiped clean. Either he held terrifying power, or a massive war was happening right above everyone's heads. The less the public actually knew about this guy's true identity, the more obsessed the internet became. People guessed he was the young heir of a massive Zenith family. Others suspected a super shady international group. Some even wildly claimed he was a top-tier government official. Right in the middle of this chaos, a top Science Alliance researcher posted something that totally flipped the script. He told everyone to stop fighting. There is no terrorist. The man everyone keeps obsessing over is Kalin Vance, a legendary Vidian Republic scholar. All those online rumors are 100% fake. Conspirators twisted this entire event. Kalin Vance is absolutely not a bad guy. He is the youngest genius scientist in Vidian Republic history for years now. He stayed completely hidden, leading teams to create groundbreaking technology that pushed the Vidian Republic to the top for 6 years. He was stuck in the Northwest perfecting advanced gear, just as his huge space project almost finished. His terrified daughter suddenly called him for help, begging. Because his family was in mortal danger, he had to abandon everything to rescue his loved ones. That is exactly what a real father would do. How is he a terrorist for that? He is an incredible dad, a devoted husband, and a literal pillar of the Vidian Republic. This post absolutely blew up, shooting straight to the top of the trending charts. The whole internet went crazy. This insane plot twist caught everyone off guard. Was it real or fake? Once people saw the researchers' verified badge, they were completely stunned. The supposed villain was actually a legendary Republic scholar, the youngest genius ever, but some people still refused to buy it. If he really is a noble scholar, how do you explain all those crimes? Doubts still lingered to Vidians. Scholars are basically flawless heroes, sacrificing everything for their country, with pure souls and total honor. Because of that sky-high standard, nobody wanted to believe a beloved national hero could actually commit the brutal crimes the media reported. But right at this critical moment, another massive bombshell dropped. Online, a random user posted a public confession. They told everyone to stop doubting the researcher. They publicly apologized to the national scholar, Kalin Vance. They confessed to taking bribe money to intentionally drag his name through the mud. They begged everyone to stop spreading fake rumors and questioning his honor. He is a genuine Vidian Republic hero. This confession hit the internet like a heavy boulder smashing into a quiet lake. Soon after, tons of others stepped up, admitting they were also paid to smear his reputation. And it kept going. People dug up his hidden files. The Vidian Republic actually does have a top scholar named Kalin Vance. And wait, he is only 24. He and his mentor built the Republic's very first aircraft carrier from scratch. He even developed those epic space radiation defense weapons by himself. This guy is an absolute legend. Now, you and I have to wonder, is this actually real? A 24-year-old scholar, there must be some hidden catch. Connections. If Kalin was 30, maybe they would buy it, but in his 20s, he probably just slapped his name on his mentor's work. Absolute shamelessness. While normal guys his age just graduated college, Kalin was already an academician. Amidst this fierce debate, the national broadcaster unexpectedly dropped a massive report. According to the latest news from the National Information Office tonight, the United States Space Agency and elite scientists from top-tier universities will fly to the Vidian Republic. The director of the Canadian Capital Science Academy is actually leading a massive delegation. Experts from the Aerospace Council, the New Zealand Alliance, France, and Northern Ireland will also arrive on that exact same flight. This insane news sent social media into absolute meltdown mode. International scientists visiting the Vidian Republic was completely normal. Usually, it was just for academic exchanges, but this time, 35 countries, nearly half of the developed nations, along with the Western Africa Expo Alliance, were arriving all at once in a single night. Totally unprecedented. Nothing like this had happened since the Vidian Republic was founded. But you and I have to ask, why tonight couldn't they just arrive during the day? What exactly was going down in the Vidian Republic? Clearly, something totally extraordinary was unfolding. One sharp netizen made the connection. The youngest academician, our guy Kalin Vance, is heading to the Northwest tomorrow. Tonight, all these nations suddenly arrive. Could it be they are here just for him? What did he actually do? Did he invent some crazy new tech? What kind of technology could it possibly be? Amidst the chaos, academician Kendrick made a new post with just 2 words, space elevator. The entire internet was completely Stunned an elevator to space. Isn't that just total sci-fi fantasy? It's actually becoming reality. Because of this massive project, elite scientists from all around the world were rushing over. That post caused an absolute hurricane, netizens everywhere engaged in heated debates, absolutely desperate for the truth. Shortly after, all the shady forces connected to the Thorne family were entirely wiped out, the dark hands behind the media manipulation, dragged straight into the light, all the criminal underworld factions across the country were completely purged. Kalin's legendary space elevator project also finally reached its completion. This masterpiece later became a monumental leap for humanity in space exploration, quickly attracting the active participation of dozens of nations, but more importantly, this was the epic gift he dedicated to Pip and Ara, the people who had waited for him for 6 long years.